السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay, let me know if you guys can hear. Okay, so just give me a second, guys. Let me just get this sorted. Okay, just give me a second whilst I just set up this the chat thing, and inshallah. I need to show you guys how I do tutorials on this as well. Almost done. Alright, excellent. Done. Okay, so let's start then. Alright, so alaikum assalam everyone. Ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban. Is the sound working? Is it a good pitch? Okay. So, wa alaikum assalam, Kazmataz. Okay, straight away Kazmataz into the questions. Okay, so I'll try to answer that in a bit, inshallah. Wa alaikum assalam. Why now? Wa alaikum assalam, Zakaria. وعليكم السلام عائشة الصديقة. وعليكم السلام ياسين. وعليكم السلام فايرينج. أهلا وسهلا عبد الله خان. شعيب زمان ما شاء الله into questions. وعليكم السلام ومالا عرفات. وعليكم السلام أسامة. Okay, so I think basically you guys want me to go straight into the questions, yeah? You guys not ready to mess around. You just right straight. Let's go into the questions, guys. Okay, so alright, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's check out the questions then. Right, so as usual, guys, questions at the bottom. Right, so you got the Curious Cat, you can ask there, you can ask in the chat box if you want. Alright. Alright, so someone has asked a question. Which institute do you recommend if someone wants to study tafsir in Turkey? Now, I haven't studied in Turkey, now have I been to Turkey, so I wouldn't be able to tell you that. So I wouldn't be the best person to tell you what institute is the best place. Best to ask someone who has actually been to Turkey, and they'd be able to give you advice on that. So unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to answer that one. Okay, so here's a question. Now, see, some of you guys ask me questions and you want very long answers, detailed answers. So you see, this is only a Q&A, and I can only give answers which obviously I'm not going to take too much of my time. So I know some of you guys are really anxious. You want long answers, detailed answers. What I would suggest is, if you want really detailed answers, you guys need to study. As in, seriously, you guys need to go into studying, study the topic, study the fiqh or whatever you want to study, but study it properly. I can't give you very detailed answers because if I spend like 10-15 minutes on one person's question, it doesn't seem very fair that I'm going to be answering everyone's questions very short, right? So this is why I try to make the questions as brief as possible. I try to answer as many as I can on Curious Cat, and some of you guys state there that you want me to answer them on the live stream. You don't want me to answer them on the Curious Cat. So eventually I will have to pick and choose. Unfortunately, I won't be able to answer everyone's questions. Otherwise, sometimes 3 hours, 2.5 hours, and it's not really fair on everyone else as well. So I am thinking about starting to select questions now. So questions that have already been done in the past. Some of you guys are asking me and saying to me if I can put timestamps. If anyone here would like to do that job and go through my videos and put timestamps, and in the comments below just timestamp it, that would be a great sadaqah jariyah, inshallah. So if any of you guys want to do that and can do that for me, that would be an excellent job. All you have to do is just go through my videos, and you can take your time, and you just go through the video, and where the question is, you just timestamp it. So you press you right click on your screen and you can timestamp. I personally do not have the time to go through the videos. First of all, I hate watching my own videos, and then I find it very difficult to every week to have to go through the questions like that. So if someone can do it, please go for it. And then once you've done it, you put in the comments, I can take those and I can put it in my description box, or I can pin that comment. Okay, so question. Dear respected Mufti, can medical exams or circumstantial evidence or CCTV video or DNA exams and the like serve witness in case of had punishment, zina, drinking alcohol, etc.? Or does an actual live people have to witness these crimes? Yes. So live people have to witness these crimes. So in Islam, we have two types of punishments. One is punishments, penal codes that have been set by Allah. There's about 4 or 5 of them. And those are set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We can't change them at all. Right? So for example, if a person fornicates, punishment for fornication, punishment for stealing, punishment for... These are fixed by Allah. Now, these have to be established according to how Allah and the Prophet ﷺ have told us. Right? And because they are similar to like salat, like the 5 times salat, zakat, hajj, we can't dabble in them. Like whatever we're told, that's how we have to carry it out. Now, when it comes to the issue of, for example, like fornication, 4 witnesses have to see the act of fornication and see the exact practice taking place. And so therefore, CCTV, even if someone was to record it with a video or anything, that would not be considered to be valid evidence. Even if 100% it was recorded, it cannot be. Why? Because this is something which is the criteria of fixed by Sharia. And we can't like extend and do qiyas on hudud. Qiyas on hudud, you can't do that. Right? So this is why, even if there's DNA evidence and everything, yes, a punishment will be given to a person if he does obviously, fornicate and things like that. But it won't be the punishment that was set by Allah. Right? And likewise, theft and other things as well. And that's all. Okay. Okay, next. So this is why when it comes to the hudud, you have to stay fixed to whatever the Sharia has said. Idra al-hudud mastata'at. The Prophet ﷺ has said that try to drop the hudud as much as possible. Like try to get them dismissed as much as possible. Right. So the idea is not to carry out the punishment. The idea of these punishments there are like deterrents. Okay, Sheikh, from your recent answer, you informed us that one considers the nisab of silver when looking at who is eligible to receive zakat. As of yesterday, the nisab was 712 grams of silver, is around $300. Most poor people even have this much. How do we find a poor person to give zakat to? In addition to this, I've come across even if someone does not have the nisab amount in cash, gold and silver, but they have personal items which are more than basic needs, and these extra personal items have a total value of nisab about, then they are not eligible to receive zakat. So if someone has only $200 in cash, nothing else, but they have personal items more than their basic needs, then is it not allowed to give them zakat? So basically, when it comes to giving zakat, right, all you have to do is you have to look for someone. You don't have to do investigation. Do not investigate. The Sharia did not tell us to investigate anyone's financial situation. We don't have to investigate at all. All we have to do is, as long as we feel that this person is poor and there's no evidence that this person has lots of wealth, give them your zakat. Right? You won't be held accountable for that. As long as you've done due diligence. not investigation, not like, Sherlock Holmes investigation. So Sherlock Holmes investigation, or how much do you earn, or try to, invite them for dinner and ask them, get clues of how much they earn and how much they've got in their bank. You don't have to do any of that at all, because this is something humiliating. And we're not supposed to humiliate our brothers and sisters around the world when we're trying to help them financially. So this is why some of the scholars have said we can use the gold nisab when it comes to this kind of thing, right? In cash, you can use the gold nisab. So if you were to use the gold nisab, then it becomes very easy, and then you can give them your zakat. And when it comes to the basic needs, your basic needs might be different from someone else's basic needs, right? So for example, like, maybe they need 2 mobile phones. Maybe the other mobile phone they can't get rid of, right? Having a TV is a basic need nowadays. Internet is a basic need nowadays. Having a computer is a basic need. Maybe you need 2 or 3 in the house, right? So this is why I would say, do not go into all of this like investigation and everything. Just as long as there's no indication that these people have enough wealth, give them your zakat. Lastly, is this condition for personal items also condition for gharimin? Say a person has a debt which is greater than their assets, and hence they are not sahib al-nisab, but they have even luxury items. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Luxury items does not matter. If a guy owns a Ferrari, that's still within his needs. He still can possibly be poor. If a guy has a Bentley, a guy has a Bugatti, he can still be considered to be poor, right? It's something which is beyond your needs, right? So when we say beyond needs, if a guy lives in a house that has 5 bedrooms, it doesn't mean that he's rich, right? Richness is to do with how much gold, silver, cash, these kind of things that you have. If a guy has 2 or 3 houses, yes, then he doesn't deserve zakat. I know it's a long question, but please, if you can take the time in answering. So this is another take the time in answering kind of question. So like I said, I won't be able to take too much time. I don't want to spend too much time on each question, and then it's unfair for everyone else who has questions and they ask the question. But like I said to you, all you have to do is investigate. Luxury does not mean a person does not have the basic needs. Basic needs and luxury can come together, right? So it's important to understand a person can have the top of the range mobile phone, top of the range car, but still be poor. Yeah. Okay. When it comes to discharging zakat, does the person get sinned if the organization, person, charity he uses is negligent with the money? As long as a person has done due diligence and has investigated the organization and feels that this is a comfortable organization, give them your zakat. That's fine. As long as you give them it, you've done your job, right? And the rest on the day of judgment, they're going to be questioned. You should do what Abu Layth does with timestamps all your questions in your Q&A in the comments. Yeah, so I think he doesn't do them himself. I'm sure there's people out there that do it for him. So like I said, if there's people out there that can do it, then alhamdulillah, I would really appreciate if someone could do it for me. And, may Allah give you loads of reward. Is hearing a bad remark about a person from someone... okay, let me check out your questions now before I do those. All right. Kazmataz, can I read my Taraweeh by using a Mus'haf? According to the Hanafi fiqh, no. Right? But according to Shafis allow it. Okay. Right, next question. MP, how are you? Very good. Jazakallah khair. Is it permissible to eat from the same plate as non-Muslims? Definitely permissible, as long as they've got no haram ingredients in there. Yep, you can even drink the same water. Let's say a non-Muslim has some 7-Up and says to you, yeah, you want some 7-Up? You're allowed to drink it, it's fine. Usama Hussein, what are the evidences for the madhab with regards to jalsa istiraha? So the Hanafis do not. So basically, when you're praying your salat and you've done your sujood and you're about to get up, the Hanafis, they say you get up on the balls of your feet, right? The balls of your feet, you get up. Basically, you don't sit down for a little while. The Shafis say that you sit down for a short while, and their evidence is narrations that come in Sahih Tirmidhi and other books where the Prophet ﷺ, he used to sit down, and in the narration of Sahih Bukhari as well, where the Prophet ﷺ teaches a man how to pray salat, it is mentioned that you sit and then you get up, right? So this Hanafis say that it's not wrong to sit, as in it's not sinful, your salat will not become nullified. It's just better to not sit, right? That's the optimum way of praying your salat. So there should be less rest in salat. The idea is there's less rest in salat, and there's other narrations from the Prophet ﷺ himself that he would get up on the balls of his feet. That's narrated as well. Yeah, so this is why when you have this clash of narrations, In salat, we always look for those aspects of salat which are more, require more effort. So the more effort that's required, that seems to conform with the idea of salat. And yes, the Prophet ﷺ may have sat Jalsa Istiraha, but we say most likely that was because of maybe an injury, or because near the end of his life when his body started to become weak because of that. Okay, Arnaut, ahlan wa sahlan. Can you explain the expression that there is no taqleed in Aqidah? Then why do people say that they are Ashari Maturid? So, good question. When it comes to this idea of taqleed, right? What we have to remember is Aqidah is basically belief. Like, for example, you believe that I'm here. Yeah, that's fine, isn't it? Do you believe that you exist? That's fine. Do you believe that you're on the ground? That's fine. Do you believe that you can hear? It's fine. So this is all something which we believe, right? But when it comes to things that are beyond our senses, like the existence of one God and the existence of angels and so things that are outside the realm. So imagine you're in a room and someone from the next room comes to you and says to you, do you know in that room there's 10 men sitting there? Do you know in that room there's the lights on? Do you know in that room that there's a book on the table? Do you know in that room? So things you could never have known without someone telling you. So Aqidah is like that. We're being told things that we could never have known. So belief in these is something that you have to believe with your heart on your own. Right? To be a Muslim, you have to believe Allah is one. You have to believe the Messenger ﷺ is the last messenger. We're told this and we have to believe it ourselves. We don't believe it because taqleed means this. Like, for example, let's say in the village there's a leader, and the leader says, whatever I believe, you guys believe. And then everyone goes, okay. Right? And he asks the people, what does he believe? I don't know what he believes. But he just believes in stuff. That's taqleed in Aqidah. That's what the mushrikeen used to do. Or that's what other religions used to do. They used to believe what their leader believed. You ask them, what's your belief regarding angels? I don't know, but whatever my leader believes, I believe that. That is not allowed. In fiqh, you can do that. Right? So if someone says to you, why do you pray your salat like this? Why do you do wudu like this? And you say, because that's how I was taught. Yeah, my teacher taught me this. That is allowed. But when it comes to belief, you have to believe the things on your own. Right? You have to believe in the existence of Allah. You have to believe in the existence of the Day of Judgment. Stuff like that. Okay, so this is what taqleed. Now, Ash'aris and Maturidis are not Aqidah per se. These are fiqh of Aqidah. These are sciences of Aqidah. So, like I said to you many times, that people get ilm al-kalam confused with Aqidah. Quran and Sunnah is what we need to follow. Fiqh is the science of trying to understand the Quran and Sunnah. Aqidah is what we need to follow. The ilm al-kalam is the science to try and make logical sense of these things. Right? So what we have to believe is the Aqidah from the Quran and Sunnah. Okay, Aisha Siddiqa, if anybody passed away this moment, is allowed to complete Quran Khatam? Yes. If someone passes away, you're allowed to do Quran Khatam for them. According to the Hanafis, according to Hanbalis, it's permissible and the Sadaqah Jariyah will go for them. But if you believe that this is the way it has to be done, that's not allowed. Like if you believe it's in the Quran, it's mentioned that we have to do a Khatam when someone dies, no. Okay, Sayyid Fuzail, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you, Shia? Alhamdulillah. Sayyid Fuzail, I'm very well, thank you very much for asking. I would like to read some basic Arabic books for my reading to get improvement right now. I almost finished 2 books of Medina Arabic books with Asif Mahrali. Excellent, very good, very good. So what I would suggest is you need to get hold of, let's say, like a YouTube video or something, someone going through a book and for you following them. So I've got lots of videos on my YouTube channel. Or better than that, get hold of a teacher. Pay for a teacher, get hold of a teacher and study by a teacher. Right? And read through a text and ask them to correct your mistakes. That's what I would say. That's the best thing. That's the best thing, a person can do in this situation, I would say. Okay. Right. MP, I've heard people say you can't buy and wear Pandora jewelry. I'm not sure why. Is there any basis? I have no idea what Pandora jewelry is. Is it those kind of charm bracelets? Are you talking about that? I have no idea. If that's it, then I don't see anything wrong with it. Because it's not really kind of a Aqidah thing, is it? That people are wearing. It's called a charm bracelet. It's just a name. But if you can explain to me what Pandora jewelry is. Wa alaikum assalam, Riaz. Damyo, what a good Hanafi institutes and good Shafi institutes. Good Hanafi institute depends where you are. So, for example, like, if you want to study in the UK, I mean, I don't really know exactly all the places. I haven't really kind of gone to all the places to tell you how good they are. I've heard As-Salam Institute is good. I know Cambridge Muslim College, mashallah, Sheikh Suhail Hanif is there. Very, very good, capable Hanafi scholar. If you study by him, it would be excellent. Also in London, White Thread Institute, very good, Mufti Abdurrahman Mangera. As-Sufa Institute, where I teach, alhamdulillah, obviously that's top of the list. If you want to go Jordan, Sheikh Salah Abul Hajj is there. In Turkey as well, there's many places. Shafi fiqh, I'm not too sure. Yeah, I gotta be honest, I don't really know. Why now? Mufti Sahab always ask if there's anyone here from the US. I'd like to know if there's anyone here doing the 17 courses online because I'm a student too. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Why now? Excellent question. That I think your question is the best question out of everyone. E Sultan, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, E Sultan Fitness. Yasin, have you come across the Tafsir Ibn Ashur? What do you think? I think this is an excellent tafsir. Tafsir Ibn Ashur is a very, very good tafsir, right? And I love this tafsir, and I read this frequently. And I would suggest anyone who is seriously about studying tafsir, this is a tafsir that you can't, avoid. You have to read this tafsir. Altaf Qazi, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, mashallah. Rabi As-Sariddin, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Qasim, ahlan wa sahlan Qasim. Alaikum assalam. Arafat, there's a video of brothers chatting in Arabic. How do we join this group? So this is not a group for public. So this is just a practice group that I was doing. It's finished now. But this was a group that I had. Basically, what happened was, from As-Sufa, I have students who I teach as part of an institute where I work. So they asked me if I can do some extra in the holidays, do some extra speaking. So I said, okay. So there's about 5, 6, 7 of them. So we started something. And it was every single day for half an hour. We just do a little bit of practice online. And I just, one day I just thought I'll just record a bit of it and put it onto social media. And alhamdulillah, I mean, a lot of people responded to that and liked it. I mean, I personally don't have time to do these kind of things, right? So because this would take time. And then the problem is people would be different levels of Arabic. Ideally, if you want to speak Arabic, you have to speak Arabic with people who are at your level to gain confidence. If you're speaking Arabic and in the class there's 1 or 2 guys whose Arabic is very, very good, then other people lose confidence, right? It's like that clever student in class who kind of like is always like putting your hand up and answering all the questions. Everyone else feels we feel so dumb in front of this kid, right? And when he goes, the whole class, the balance is restored in the class again. So I apologize, Arafat. We don't. It's not really an open class to public. Altaf Qazi, mashallah, mashallah. How do you get hair so slick, bro? Can't tell you that, man. Amla oil all the way, bro. Yeah, there's amla oil all the way, bro. It's all the way amla oil. Okay, let's just check out some questions on Curious Cat. Okay, this is a good question. Is hearing a bad remark about a person from someone that considered the same as backbiting? So if a person is backbiting, like, so for example, let's say I say, for example, Zaid, yeah? Zaid is the biggest, the biggest blagger out there, right? Zaid's got the biggest mouth. Zaid just chats all day. And I say things that would hurt him if he heard him, right? That's backbiting. Now, if you're enjoying that, if you're sitting there going, tell me more, tell me more. That's also considered to be passive backbiting, right? So active backbiting, passive backbiting, the Prophet ﷺ has prohibited both of them, right? The worst sin is for the guy who actively backbites. Now, if you're in a gathering and people are saying things, right, you should, ideally, the Prophet ﷺ said, you should stand up for your brother, as in you should say, look, I don't want to listen to this, and you should walk away. Now, if you can't walk away, it's too difficult. Like you're in a car on the motorway, yeah, and the cars are traveling at 70 miles per hour, and some of the guys are backbiting someone, and you can't like kind of say to them, look, please stop backbiting. It's like people who are maybe older than you, or they're not going to listen to you, or you're on the bus or whatever. Then obviously you won't be held sinful for that. Okay. especially if you hated listening to it in your heart. So that's fine, then you won't be held responsible. But couldn't stop the person telling you because they were in a vulnerable and sensitive state, venting about someone who hurt them. Would this act of listening be considered to be violation of rights? No, so it wouldn't be. Because when it comes to if a person is abusing someone else, they are allowed to tell someone about it. Right? That doesn't come under backbiting. Right? But if they are going to go, start slandering that person, that's not allowed. Okay. Does shaitan have the ability to transform into a human-like person all the time? Not necessarily. Yeah? As in, if this ever has occurred in the past, like some narrations or some stories of the past that we've heard, then this might be metaphorical, or it possibly might be that it can come, like we have light. Light is a spectrum, isn't it? Right? It's a type of, it's a type of, like for example, you have, what is it called? Projection. So light can project itself in different forms. Right? So because light can project itself in different forms, light can actually make itself look like a 3D image. So it's possible that jinn might have the ability to be able to make themselves appear in a certain image. That's possible. Yeah, so it's not something which is like impossible. Or was it specific time when he taught the companion? Yeah, it could have been. Like, for example, if a jinn came to the Prophet ﷺ or an angel came to the Prophet ﷺ and they came in the form of someone that can be seen, then we say maybe that was at that time and this isn't something for later times. Allah knows best. Does in Quduri mention about not rolling trousers above ankles? Yes. So in Quduri it mentions that a person should not, in a scruffy way, pull up their trousers. So the reason for this is because when you're praying your salat, your clothes should naturally drop. So some people, what they used to do was, when they used to go into ruku or sujood, they used to lift up their trousers, like hold them up and go into, as though, they didn't want the ground to touch their clothes. The Prophet didn't like that. Yeah. So, doing this kind of thing with clothing was considered to be disliked by the Prophet. But if a person did it in a neat way to make their trousers not fall below their ankles, then that would be fine. Just like some people, roll up their jeans or trousers when they go outside, fashion. Yeah, that's fine, because the idea is that it's supposed to allow the clothes to drop. So long as the clothes can drop and you're letting them go, that's fine. Is it recommended not to eat when in major janabat? No. You can eat. Yeah, you can eat. It's fine. The scholars do say that a person should wash their mouth. And the reason they say they wash their mouth, it's not in a hadith or anything. The idea is the Hanafis say that the mouth and the nose are affected by janaba. And the Hanafis believe something which is known as ma' al-musta'mal. So when a person is like using water and is in the state of janaba, every time water drips off their limbs, that water now goes into a ghair mutahhir state. As in, it's in a state that cannot be used for wudu and ghusl again. It's clean, it's not impure. So they just say that it might have effects in there. But there's no evidence to prove, like categorically, that this is something which is... and I was actually thinking about doing maybe like a crash course on the varying levels of like ijtihad in the Hanafi fiqh. Right? So when we see masail, you have to understand the masail are varying categories, like varying levels of how far they are from the understanding of the Quran and Sunnah. How direct are they from the Quran and Sunnah? Yeah, and how indirect they are. So some evidences are direct from the Quran and Sunnah, and some are implied indirectly, right? So there's like varying levels of this. So this is one of those which is very indirect, extremely indirect, I would say. Okay, let's check out questions here. Suggest some Arabic books for reading. Yes. So you can read Qasasun Nabiyyin is a very good book to start reading. Qira'atul Rashida. These are very good books to start reading. Yeah. Why now, Mufti Sahab? We should have a party when your channel has 40k. Yeah, inshallah. Definitely we should have an isolation party, yeah, where all of us around the world, we just like celebrate ourselves, put like Roots of Knowledge hats on our head, put some decorations up, and bake cake at home. Yeah, don't get from outside because you might catch COVID-19. Yeah, but inshallah, hopefully by tomorrow the channel should get 40,000k, inshallah. 40,000 subscribers, alhamdulillah. 40,000 subscribers, mashallah, with your guys' efforts and with, mashallah, my team, alhamdulillah, we've been able to reach 40,000. And mashallah, it's a hope. I pray to Allah that Allah puts barakah in this and makes this a means of the spreading of the deen around the world. MR, Assalamu alaikum. Can you check my 2 questions that I posted on your community post today, which you posted about live Q&A? Okay. I'll have to. Okay, let me just check. Okay, so I calculate my zakat during some day in Ramadan, but I don't have a fixed day in Ramadan in which I calculate my zakat. Whenever I want to pick some day in Ramadan, I calculate my zakat. No, this is not okay. You have to have a day that was fixed from the. What I suggest is, have you checked my crash course on zakat? So I've done a whole video explaining all the rules of zakat, and this is one of them I've explained there as well in detail. So you have to stick to the day on which your nisab became necessary for you. So if you don't know that date, then you can pick a date, but you're going to have to stick to that date all the time. Yeah. If not, then please, I have access online banking. Should I find out the day of zakat began for me? Yes, I think you should do that. And if you're confused about this, you contact National Zakat Foundation, and they have specialists who will go through with you and help you work out your zakat. Right. So it's a very good service they have. And I would suggest to do that. And if you want to watch my crash course, because I know you sent a long question here, but the thing is, I don't want to spend too long with each individual question. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, my question is, I didn't know the money you loan out is also included when you give your zakat, and I gave some £10,000 in 2015. I give more than I have to in zakat each year, so 2.5%, 10,000 is £250. So if each year I have been given extra £250 since that time I gave loan out, will I then need to still pay zakat? So if you were giving, you can give advanced. So if you were giving with the intention that you're paying extra, it's fine. That's fine. In my intention wasn't paying zakat at 10,000, as I didn't know I had to. But coincidentally, if each year came, so if you were intentionally giving this extra as zakat, then it's fine. Yeah, thank you. And you are from Birmingham. You seem to have Birmingham accent. Yes, I'm from Birmingham, alhamdulillah. Birmingham Sharif. Yeah. So what I would suggest, brother, is if you check out the crash course, zakat crash course. I've done it. It's like a 50-minute long whole video, very detailed about this topic. And yes, so if you have been given extra of that zakat, then it's fine. It can be counted from that, as long as you have been given the amount that you were supposed to give. So £10,000. Obviously, the zakat of £10,000 is £250. Yeah. How much is it? £250. £10,000. So 50 times 10. Yeah, 500. You're supposed to give 500, weren't you? So you were supposed to give £500 of zakat for each year of that, and then you do the minus. So what I would suggest is check out National Zakat Foundation. They have a detail or specialist there that can help you go through your zakat calculations. Otherwise, check out the crash course on the zakat one. Is it true that a woman shouldn't shower until her 3rd day of menses? Why is this? I have not heard this. I don't know. It's not true. Rabi, in Quran, the ants did know about Suleiman and his army. Does it mean that ants had prophets or revelation in a way? Don't know. Did they have prophet? Did they? So they didn't call him prophet in the Quran. The ants didn't call him prophet. The ants actually said Suleiman. They just called him Suleiman. So they knew. The ants seemed to have known that this was Suleiman, right? But they didn't know he was. They didn't mention he was a prophet. Yeah. So udkhulu masakinakum la yahtimannakum Suleiman wa junuduhum la yashurun. Right. So there's no mention that they knew he was a prophet. It's just they say that Suleiman. They call him by his name, Suleiman. E Sultan, what means Quran in word? What means Quran in word? I have no idea. What means Quran in word? I don't know. I don't understand your question, brother. Why not? A lot of your answers are shared on your social media. Yeah, Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. Yes, definitely. They share it over there. S. Khan, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Ahlan wa sahlan. Abu Nent, how to find a girl to marry? That is the question of the year, my brother. This is shadi.com. Yeah, this is what shadi.com has been made for. I don't know. It depends on community, how communities do it. Okay. Arafat, جميع تاج تعليم القرآن كريم Sheikh. This will help the person looking for tafsir in Turkey. Okay, جمعية تاج تعليم القرآن الكريم. Excellent. So Brother Arafat has mentioned, has put a name here that you may be able to find. Big Mo, Walaikum Assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan, Big Mo. MP, you should buy a cake and cut it on live stream with us when you reach 50k subs. 50k, yeah, 50k maybe. Maybe by that time COVID should have finished, hopefully. Yeah, so, we'll be out of all that. Crypto, salam alaikum. What is the ruling of turning your back to the Quran? Sometimes it is unavoidable. So, turning your back to the Quran, as long as you're not doing it out of disrespect, is fine. Right? And I don't think anyone turns their back to the Quran. So in the Quran, when Allah says about the disbelievers that they turn their back to the Quran, what that means is they reject the Quran. So it's like a metaphorical term. And this is also something which is, I think, is very important for us to understand, is people who are unfamiliar with the Arabic terminology and expressions, we need to be very careful of how we translate them into other languages. And I've seen this, like my grandma, if she's reading Quran and I have her back there, she hates it. She tells me off and says, look, you're back to the Quran. But I know the fiqh ruling is that it's not really a problem. If I did it out of disrespect for the Quran, like I put my back against the Quran, I had no respect for it, then there may be sin involved there. Right? But there's no kind of sin in that. It's a cultural thing. Big Mo, do you like peanut butter with bread? Yes. Shari, Mufti Saab, I need hope that say that plague goes in 12 to 36 weeks. When will this virus go? When will the punishment go? I need help from you. Hope from you. Inshallah, when I become the expert in pathogens and in global viruses, then inshallah, Brother Shady, I will tell you this and I will hopefully give you this hope. But unfortunately, at the moment, I haven't reached that qualification yet. Arnawat, if a person is in a haram relationship, will he get rewarded if he recites Quran for his girlfriend? You see, this is a kind of thing, isn't it? It's like if a person is drinking alcohol, will he get rewarded for starting with Bismillah? So it seems very derogatory. It seems very debasing of the Quran. And some have even said that this might even be kufr. Right? As in drinking alcohol and saying Bismillah, it may even be kufr. Like border edge on kufr. So I would say that, a person should totally avoid that. Yeah, as in, the relationship, if it's being done in such a way, like it should be avoided, unless it's being done for da'wah purposes, and maybe Allah will inspire them to leave their relationship, or maybe even get married, whatever. Mufti Sahab, since people are not allowed to accompany the janazah, especially if the person died, so what people do live stream on Insta, e.g. Would people join them to get sawab of doing this? Yeah, they can join in. I mean, joining in a janazah from anywhere around the world is fine, but it just won't be counted as janazah for them. It'll be counted as like asking Allah istighfar. It's fine. Sadiq Ali, walaikum salam. I hope you're well, Sheikh. What is the background of the Nasheed Ghuraba? What's the background? I mean, I don't know, even the translation of it or where it came from. So it seems to have come from the famous hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that tuba lil ghuraba. Yeah, so the ghuraba are those people who come in the future. Yeah, so those who are going to come in the future and who are not going to see me and who are going to live in a time where people are going to find religion to be something strange, and they're going to be called the strangers. So ghuraba means strangers. So some people later on, they kind of like made this poem, right? So I don't exactly know exactly where. MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair. Payment has been received. Hassan Khan, ahlan wa sahlan. Jazakallah khair, Hassan Khan. May Allah reward you immensely. Guys, check out Hassan Khan's YouTube channel. Right, the guy is a qari, mashallah. He's does beautiful naats and nasheeds as well. He's got some videos as well that are quite popular on YouTube. So check them out, inshallah. Okay, next. Is it only in the Hanafi madhab who deem personal jewelry for women as zakatable? To my knowledge, yes. Yeah, to my knowledge, it's only the Hanafis who consider gold and silver to be zakatable, even if it's worn, right, by a woman. And the Shafis and Malikis, they say no, It's actually, if it's worn, then you don't have to give zakat on that. In Taraweeh Salah, is Salah broken if the Imam says yes, no? Yeah, so if he responds to a question, his Salat breaks. Right? But if he just makes a sound, it's not a full sentence, you can say, then Salat won't necessarily break. Yeah, so it won't necessarily break. But if he's responding to something, like someone says to him, do you want food? And he goes, yeah, or no, then it won't necessarily break. During correction when given Luqma, yeah. So if it's in Luqma and he says yes and no, then I would say, according to Hanafis, it would break. Yeah, because it's a form of reciprocating kind of like call. Is Salah broken if the Imam is silent for more than 3 Subhanallahs during Qiraat? No, it won't be broken. But Sajda Sahu may have to be done. So if the Imam in Salat goes silent for the duration of 3 Subhanallah, 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 about 5 seconds basically. If he goes silent for about 5 seconds, Sajda Sahu is necessary. Why? Because he's done an act which is considered to be delaying a fard or a wajib. Yeah, so they consider it to be. This is according to this is according to the istihsan. According to the qiyas, for those who know advanced Hanafi fiqh, according to the qiyas, it should not break your. And there's a riwayah from Abu Hanifa which actually says that it doesn't break your salat. Why is huruf jara? Is it correct to say huruf jar? I mean, you can say whatever you want. You can say prepositions. You can say, but technically, if you want to go like nitty gritty terms and be precise, it's huruf jar. Huruf mawsuf and jarra sifa. So sifas of jama mukassars, yeah, or jama taksirs is wahid muannath, huruf jarra. If you were to say huruf jar, it's fine. I mean, you know what we're saying. Like for example, sometimes what happens, I studied in Pakistan. So sometimes my teachers would say terms which were very sort of like, just generic terms, but they wouldn't use the precise, like exact way of saying it. So they say something like muzaf ilayhi, muzaf ilayhi. Yeah, in the Pakistan, in Urdu community, they don't say the dad like the Arab does. So there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's fine. Or they say, for example, things like ghair munsarif, where maybe the Arabs would say mamnu' min as-sarf. Right? So there's like these little sort of like pronunciations which are okay, it's fine. It's not really a big issue. Okay, mashallah, Sufyan, jazakallah khair for your donation. May Allah reward you immensely. Alhamdulillah, Sufyan. Mashallah, ahlan wa sahlan. Through the PayPal, mashallah. May Allah reward you abundantly. May Allah give you, lots of reward, mashallah. Subhanallah, jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. If there's anyone that wants to donate through the PayPal, they can donate to PayPal. Jazakumullah khair, Sufyan, mashallah. May Allah keep you happy and blessed. MashaAllah. I just seen that now. Okay, next. Where did we reach in these? Okay. So, Hussein Khan, Assalamu alaikum. Big Moshik, I like to binge watch your question and A Sheikhs. MashaAllah, Jazakallah khair. Do you know Abu Layth? Yes, I know Abu Layth. Hussein Khan, sir, are you from Saudi? No, I'm not from Saudi. I am at the moment in the UK. Hussein Khan, why now? And then a special dinner with his patrons when he reaches 100k. Inshallah, why not? Yeah, mashallah. Yeah, bye. And then we can conquer the world when we reach 1 million. Yeah, we can have a world party, global. I'm from India, Mumbai. Ahlan wa sahlan, mashallah. Sufyan, mashallah, jazakallah khair. May Allah bless you, put barakah in your time and your effort and your mashallah. Sufyan's the man. As Khan, is it permissible to keep some kind of bead counter in your hand during salah to keep track of rakats, as I get confused on how many rakats I've read? Yes, it would be permissible. Yeah, as long as you're not playing about with it in salat, right, and you're not making too much movements, then it should be fine. But the problem the Hanafis say, like the Hanafis even say, you can even like pray and press like parts of your fingers, like squeeze them. That would even be allowed. Usam Hussein, shukran. Altaf Qazi. Khadija Al, wa alaikum assalam. Hussein, mashallah. Sali Sabat, salam. 2 questions on behalf of someone. How many times do we have to keep forgiving people who keep lying time after time? Number 2, what is your view on giving zakat? So as long as you forgive someone once, that's sufficient. Yeah. And if they've committed the crime again, then it's up to you if you want to forgive them again. If they commit it again, it's up to you. Right? So, forgiveness is for the number of times they've committed the crime. What is your view on giving zakat in the UK? Yes, I think it's I don't have a view on it. I think it's something that we should do. Definitely. Hamza S. Wa alaikum assalam. Ahlan wa sahlan, USA. Mr. MAK for life. What's your opinion about Salafis? I think Salafis are our Muslim brothers and sisters. I have respect for Salafis. I have some of my teachers who are Salafis. But I obviously disagree with many of their positions, right? And that's fine. If a person disagrees with someone, it doesn't mean that they don't like them, right? There's a difference between not liking someone. Yeah, if there's a person, whether he's a Salafi or a non-Salafi, and they are being rude or they are being, what's the word for it? Derogatory, degrading, then that person, I wouldn't like that person. Okay, is Medina University good? Yes, definitely. I have many of my teachers who studied from Medina University. Many of my friends who studied there. Very good university if you want to go there. HK, what is a good English tafsir I can get that is good for general Muslim public who are not students of knowledge? Also, where can I buy? So some of the good easy ones to follow are In the Shade of the Quran by Sayyid Qutb. It's a good one to read. It's an English translation. You've got Ma'arif al-Quran, which is quite long. You've got Noble Quran by Mufti Taqi Usmani, and I'm not sure about any other ones, the detailed ones that have been done. But yeah, my advice would be anyone who wants to study Quran, study it from someone. That's always the best thing. Study it from someone. Bayna Institute, online Bayna Institute has lots of, Brother Noman Ali Khan, he's got lots and lots of resources. Why now? MP, I've noticed many people ask for advice on what to read and study at different levels of Arabic, tafsir and fiqh. Maybe if you did a video on each and refer back to them when people ask you about them. Yeah, that's an excellent idea, guys. Refer back to them. Yeah. So I think that's an excellent idea, and I'll actually make a note of that because a lot of people do ask me. But I personally think that a lot of people need like a mentor when it comes to studying. You need a mentor. You need someone that can know your situation, knows how much you know, knows how far you've got in Arabic language, and can help you in that. I think just like you need a mentor when it comes to training. You go to the gym, and it's always ideal to have a mentor that you're always asking what kind of routine should I have in my training, etc., etc. I think people need that in studying as well. So that's what the whole point of a teacher is when you study. He's like a mentor. He kind of guides you. So yeah, I think that kind of video, I think I'll have to make that one. Sheikh, can you make dua in salah in sujood? And also, Sheikh, can you make dua after every fard salah raising your hands? Yes, you can make dua in your sujood. Very good. And you can make dua after your salat as well. It's not necessary though, but you can do. Why now? My brother is traveling at the moment and his original plan was to stay only for 12 days, but due to COVID, he's stuck now. I was taught in such a situation where you don't know where you're going back, you can do qasr even if you stay there for 3 months. Yes, that's right. So as long as you haven't made a decisive decision to stay in a place for more than 15 days, you're a musafir, according to Hanafis, and you carry on doing qasr. And does not need to fast then till he comes back home. Pakistan is correct. Yeah. Angela Smith, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. Okay, let's check out some questions here. Okay. All right. If someone genuinely wants to know this, they ask your opinion on where Allah is. What's the best way to answer? So, I mean, I've answered this question many times, but I'll answer this question again. Right. So basically, look. When we believe in the existence of Allah, right? We have to understand Allah is beyond anything that we can ever imagine. Because in the Quran, Allah says, "Laysa kamithlihi shay," right? So therefore, Allah cannot have a shape. He cannot have a size. He cannot have weight. He cannot have color. He cannot be in a direction. He cannot be above or below or side to side. He can't be restricted by time or anything, because all of these things go against the idea of the super being Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And that's hard for us to understand, because our brains always measure things according to measurements that we know in physical existence. So we measure light by a certain measurement, we measure heat with a certain measurement, we measure length and width and height and all these things with certain measurements. That's why we try to even measure Allah. Like if someone says, when you kind of try to explain to a kid about Allah, they always ask you these kind of questions. But how big is Allah? I know Allah is big, He's Akbar, He's greatest, but how big is He? They always ask you that question. Or okay, but where is Allah though? Like, is He up there? Is He that way? Where is He? So we don't know exactly where Allah is, right? We don't know exactly none of this. Yes, when the Quran is revealed, the Quran told us, Allah in the Quran told us some things about Him. He told us that He's the creator. He told us that He is the most merciful. He told us that He has established Himself on the throne. He told us that His hand is above the hands. What does all of this mean? We can't use our worldly measure to understand these things, right? So this is why we say we believe everything that Allah has said about Himself in the Quran, but we free Him of anything which makes Him resemble the creation, right? That's very, very important. So this is why when someone says, where is Allah? We say, look, technically, Allah has no space. If you have a direction for Allah, like if you're living on the planet Earth, in Australia they're down there, aren't they? In the UK they're up there. So if we say Allah is up there, then the people in Australia, are they going to say, no, He's that way? Yeah, and then the people in India are going to say He's that way. And the people, so everyone who's pointing up, is like the earth, like a round, is like a universe round, and Allah is outside of it. He's like what is it? So when we try to use our worldly measures to try and understand Allah, yeah, this is where it causes problems. Does that make sense? So how do we kind of resolve this? So the way that we resolve this is, we say we believe whatever Allah has said about Himself in the Quran, we believe it, but we free Allah of any sort of defect that would be brought to Him by resembling Him to the creation. Yeah, that's the best way to answer, I think. Okay, is it true that there is a hadith that mentions that Prophet ﷺ replies to your salawat when you send them on Fridays? Yes, there is a hadith. What does this mean? Does he verbally? Some people have said it means the Prophet ﷺ is making dua for you. Is this true? So when someone gives you salam, it's a dua, isn't it? So if I say assalamu alaikum, you say wa alaikum assalam, you're responding and you're making dua for me. So Allah says, that the Prophet ﷺ says that send me salam, because when Allah sends me salam, when you send me salam, Allah, He allows me to be able to give salam back to you. All right. So this is something that we believe, and sending salutations as well. Yeah. What is the Hanafi Sulaimani mihrab in Masjid Nabawi? So in Masjid Nabawi, basically Masjid Nabawi is a historic site, and when the Prophet ﷺ, he used to pray. So imagine, for example, like the Prophet ﷺ, he used to pray. Let's say, for example, this is the Masjid of the Prophet, and the Prophet ﷺ mimbar was right over here. His mihrab, his niche was over here, and he used to pray there. After the demise of the Prophet ﷺ, people began to set up their own mihrabs, as in where they used to stand, because they didn't want to stand where the Prophet ﷺ stood. Some of them didn't want to, out of respect. So some of them stood in a slightly different place. So when they used to stand in a different place, people used to record this location in the masjid and call it by that person's name. So the mihrab of Uthman, the mihrab of Umar, which is also known as the mihrab of the Hanafi Sulaimani, right? Because it was they say that the Sultan, Suleiman of Ottoman, he actually prayed there. So this is why they have these kind of different locations, and they have historic things about it. So if you've ever been to Masjid Nabawi, the current mihrab that they have, where the Imam prays, right, that's actually was the extension that was made on the masjid later on. And the original mihrab of the Prophet ﷺ, where he used to pray, was where the Rawda is, in the Rawda. Okay. Next, Ed Akh. Assalamu alaikum sab. If the Imam yawns or sneezes whilst he's saying the takbir to get into another position, such that it distorts, so it does not sound like a takbir anymore, what does he do? Nothing, is fine. Because takbir is not necessary when you're changing postures. It's considered to be a sunnah act, but it's not considered to be necessary for the salat to be valid. right? So if he does, because he's not doing it deliberately, it's just something which is natural, it'll be fine. Mr. Mac for life, what's your opinion about Ahmad Raza Khan? So Maulana Ahmad, I call him Maulana Ahmad Raza Khan. I think that he has written many good books. I think he has made lots of mistakes at the same time as well, especially when it came to writing his book Hussam al-Haramain against scholars of Deoband, which people do. I mean, throughout history, people have made mistakes and have criticized one another. So I think I personally call him Maulana. If you disagree with me, that's your opinion. I think that he's a wonderful scholar when it comes to fiqh. In other areas, I haven't really read up too much about him, but in fiqh, he is considered to be a very good scholar in Hanafi fiqh. Muhammad, and the thing that you have to remember, guys, look, like, I personally think a lot of people, when they curse scholars, like some people curse Maulana Ashraf Ali Tanwi, some people curse Maulana Ahmad Raza Khan, some people curse, other scholars around the world. Let's say some curse, let's say Sheikh Hamza Yusuf, some curse Sheikh Hatim al-Auni, and they'll do it, right? That's how historically that's how people have cursed Abu Hanifa on so many occasions. People have cursed Imam Malik, people have cursed Imam Shafi'i, people have cursed Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Yeah, and this is something that has existed in history, right? Imam Ghazali was cursed, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah was cursed, Imam Ibn Kathir was also. So this sort of like historic sort of like thing that we have. The thing I think is that, number one, if someone really has a dispute with a particular individual, then either it's because of a really academic position that they hold, right? Which then that makes sense, or it's because they're in this cult mentality where they're being fed information. So, for example, like their sheikh keeps telling them things. Ahmad Raza Khan is like this. Ashraf Ali Tanwi is like this. So and so is like this. Hamza Yusuf is like this. And they're hearing like information from other people without really speaking to those people. Like, has anyone ever gone to Sheikh Hamza Yusuf and spoken to him and asked him why he's said what he said about particular issues? Has anyone ever gone to Sheikh Hatim al-Auni and spoke to him? So 90% of the people will not do that. What they will do is through articles, someone's written this, and they kind of like make an image of a particular individual by looking at articles about someone without really kind of going up to them. Yeah. And it's like that kind of like, in school you have that kind of kid, the new kid that comes, and then everyone's saying, this new kid is mad, this new kid is like this, and no one wants to make friends with him. Eventually you get that one kind of like curious person that goes up to him and speaks to him and finds out that all these things were not true about him, like that wasn't the thing, and then they make friends with him, and then everyone realizes they were wrong. I think for a lot of people that is the case. Yeah. And yes, I agree. Yes, Maulana Ahmad Raza Khan has made mistakes, and so has Maulana Ashraf Ali Tanwi made mistakes, and so has Sheikh Hamza Yusuf made mistakes. Yeah, and that they'll be held responsible in the eyes of Allah for the mistakes they made if they did it, with the wrong intentions. But I think as people who are living in the 2020, I think we need to be concerned more about our own problems than worrying about people who have died in the graves. Inshallah. Okay, Muhammad Awlimir. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Some people say that our life is predetermined, so we never stop going to masjid during COVID-19 pandemics. Okay, and is that a statement are you making? Are you telling me a statement, or are you asking a question? I don't understand, brother. Abdullah Khan, the poem you sung was incredible, mashallah. Your voice was so melodious. I hear it for motivation when I feel turned down. Allah, Abdullah Khan, mashallah. Safahna an bani dhuhulin. Yeah, so basically, see the rhythm I read it in. This is the rhythm according to the meters of poetry. So Arabic poetry follows specific like patterns, fixed patterns. You have to read like that. And generally, when people like read poems, they don't read in that pattern. That's why it kind of gets lost in bayans. Like Mawlana Tariq Jamil sometimes reads it in the patterns. Yeah, and sometimes he doesn't. So one of my teachers, Sheikh Abdul Rauf Ghaznawi in Karachi, he is a very elderly man, and he used to read the poems like that. Yeah, so I kind of like got it from him to read like that. But Jazakallah khair. I might make some more, Abdul Khan. You inspire me. That's it. You inspired me now. Sometimes people object if I pray in a t-shirt. They say praying half sleeve is not good. Is this correct? Are you confident in going outside in a t-shirt? If you're okay in going outside in a t-shirt, then you can pray in front of Allah in a t-shirt. Because the whole idea of standing in front of Allah is, do you present yourself like you would present yourself if you were outside? And if that's the case, then that's enough to stand in front of Allah. Right? There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're gonna, like in the olden days, no one used to go outside in a t-shirt, like many years ago, 200-300 years ago. So that's why in the books, when they say things like half sleeves, that's disliked, what they mean is that people that are not confident in wearing it outside, how can they, wear this kind of stuff, in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay. 1 second. Alright. Okay, I think we'll show a little break there. Okay, so we're going to have a little break, inshallah. My voice is... actually, I had a talk today, and I did kind of like speak a bit too much. So I'm going to have a little break here. So I'm going to have 5 minutes break, inshallah. I'm going to get myself some tea, and then we will continue, inshallah. Alright, so be back in about 5 minutes, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Alright, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, guys. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome back. Welcome back to this video. Okay, so let's start then, inshallah ta'ala. Let's carry on with the poems then. Pillow here. Right. Okay, ready, guys? Okay, so why now? Mufti Sahab, I'm reading Surah Min Hayat al-Sahaba wa Tabi'een. You did a book review of it a long time back, and I'm absolutely loving it. I can't recommend it enough to everyone. Yes, definitely, it's an excellent book by Ra'fat Basha. It's a series on the Sahaba. It's very, very nice to follow. But the only thing I would say about this book is the Arabic is more expressive. So Arabic text can be divided into 2 types, I would say. One is where it's easy to translate. Like, for example, all you have to know is the meaning of each word, and you can translate it. The other is where you if you know the translation, it won't help you, because it's very expressive. Like, for example, they might use lots of proverbs in there, or they might use lots of metaphors in there, which would require you to understand how the Arabs use them. So these are 2 genres, or 2 types, you can say, classifications of Arabic text. And a lot of people, they kind of get a bit confused here when they're studying, Arabic. This is the second type. They get a bit confused. So there's like certain books that you'll find like this. For instance, like Nafhatul Arab, Nafhatul Yemen, Muqamat al-Hariri. Hayat al-Sahaba is Surah Min Hayat al-Sahaba is easier to follow. Hayat al-Sahaba is a different book, by the way. Okay, so Hayat al-Sahaba is separate. Surah Min Hayat al-Sahaba is separate. Tahir Bijli. Allah, Tahir Bijli. Bro, your name is just electrifying. I have studied Arabic and bachelor's degree in university. We did not have enough understanding of poetry. What's the best way to begin understanding Arabic poetry, and in future composing too? So what I would say is if you want to understand poetry, if you haven't studied 2,000 or 3,000 poems in Arabic, don't think about it. Right? Don't even think you're going to understand Arabic poetry. If you really want to understand Arabic poetry, then you need to start off with basic Arabic poems. So, for example, like if you read the books of Ahmad Shawqi. Ahmad Shawqi, he's a contemporary, very nice Arabic poems, very easy to follow, step by step. You can actually kind of go through them. Diwan Imam Shafi'i, which I'm doing on my YouTube channel, very easy to follow as well. These are kind of poets that you can get through. Then you'd have more advanced poets, which are quite difficult to kind of grasp what they're trying to say. That's where, you know, what I was talking about, this idea of expressions. There's a lot of expression Arabic. I don't know, what's the English word for it? Why now should know. Why now? What's the English word for? It's expressional Arabic. Okay, chasing supercar. Assalamu alaikum. Can you give the hadith that tells men to place hands on the navel and the women to place their hands on the chest for salah? If not, where has the difference come from? Excellent question. So basically, when it comes to the placing of hands in salat, the narrations that we have, there is no authentic narration of where the hand should be placed, right? All there is there's a narration which says from Ali radiallahu anhu, for others, that says it's part of the sunnah to place the right hand on the left hand, right? That can be low, middle, high. That's all that's mentioned. So we have no authentic hadith to say where exactly to put the hands. That's why, for example, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, right, famous leader, the founder of the Hanbali madhab, his position is to have it below the navel. And likewise, Imam Abu Hanifa below the navel. Imam Shafi says it should be above the navel. Imam Malik has two positions. One is the hand should be on the side, and one is it should be on the chest. But there's no authentic hadith to prove this. So it's all about the idea of, you know, which one seems more of a position of humbleness. That's why the Hanafis say, even if you didn't put your hands, fold your hand, your salat will still be done. If you hand your hands on your side, your salat will still be done. Right? So the idea is that where should you put your hands where it seems more humbling, basically. Right? So the Hanafis themselves even say, if you were to put it on your chest, it's fine. Right? So the idea is, for women, their salat should be more concealing. The idea is to have a more concealing salat. So this is why there is this difference. But there is no authentic hadith at all of where you put your hands. Okay. Right, next. Ustad, with regards to deductible liabilities for zakat, does outstanding utility bills mean you can deduct only 1 month's worth from your zakat calculations, or can you deduct a year's worth, like student loan, for example? So, good question. Again, this is a zakat question. I would suggest you go to my crash course on zakat. Right? So, crash course on zakat. If someone can find it, maybe, and you can put it in the links at the bottom, so people can benefit. So, it's a 50-minute long video, and in there I've mentioned this whole point of the liabilities, going to detail it. So, when it comes to liabilities, those liabilities that are outstanding that you owe, you can deduct those. When it comes to liabilities that are outstanding, but you can pay them off, you expect to pay them off outside of 12 months, right? You're going to pay them off in 5 years or 10 years. Then you can only deduct the amount, the scholars say, that you're going to give in 12 months. So within the 12 months year until your next, let's say, zakat anniversary, only that much you can deduct. So that's why long-term loans, right, are treated differently than the month ones. Okay, next. Assalamu alaikum Mola. Can you please recommend English tafsir book other than Ma'riful Quran? And I couldn't find. Okay, so what I would suggest is looking for Noble Quran by Mufti Taqi Usmani is a very easy to follow. It's 2 volumes, very easy to follow. That is a very nice and flowing one. If you read the translation of the Quran, the Gracious Quran, that's also a very good one. It's a translation, but it's got some footnotes on there, which makes it a bit easier to understand. My suggestion would be that, look, a layperson doesn't have to read a tafsir. A layperson, as long as they're understanding what the Quran is saying, sometimes tafsirs go into topics which are very, very advanced topics, right? Talking about things which a person doesn't really need to know. That's why I would say layperson, if they really want to go into tafsir, then they should study it from someone. Otherwise, there's not real much benefit, as there's topics in there which go over lots of people's heads, like topics on usul hadith and topics on ilm al-kalam and topics on Arabic grammar, and these kind of things for a lot of people, it's just a bit too much. What is one supposed to do with broken tasbih beads? What are the method disposal? Throw them in the bin. Yeah, so tasbih beads themselves, there's nothing like sacred about them. Just like there's nothing sacred about the prayer mat that you pray on, or nothing sacred about the clothes that you pray your salat in. But if a person feels inside they feel bad, like if a prayer mat they're going to throw in the bin, they feel bad. I've been praying on this prayer mat for so many years, I feel bad. If in the time of Sahaba, there's no narration or anything that anyone preserved a prayer mat that they had. They would just pray on any sort of mat, spread it out, pray on it. So, but if a person felt inside, look, I feel bad with these beads and I don't want to throw them away, that's fine. Then you can dispose of them how you would dispose of, let's say, for example, like something, respectful. Yeah, same kind of way. HK, since I gave my zakat online, can I give my zakat a few weeks before date if I have to give, since it will take the organization a few weeks to distribute? Yes, you can give your zakat in advance. Yeah, so advance zakat is permissible. And this was something that even the Prophet ﷺ, he took the zakat of Abbas radiallahu anhu a year before. Yeah, so it's permissible for that. Riyaz ya Shaykh, أحبك في الله رب العالمين وأحبك الذي أحببتني فيه. Yeah, which means may the one for whom you love me love you as well. This is a response you say when someone says this to you. Jazakallah khair Riyaz. May Allah bless you. Bima Bays, mashallah, Allahu Akbar. Ayan's dad, Assalamu alaikum. Bima Bay and Ayan says salam. Ayan, ahlan wa sahlan marhaban. Welcome to our show. Welcome to our weekly family get together. Okay. Next question. For your live stream, prior to the birth of the fetus, doesn't use its lungs for breathing inside the womb, but rather relies on its mother for oxygen. Oxygen from the mother's bloodstream is received via the umbilical cord. The cry of a newborn baby is actually a strong respiratory effort because at birth the baby is forced to breathe on its own for the first time. The crying of the newborn baby signifies that the baby's lungs are now functioning outside of the womb, which is why the baby's first cry is so critical. There is, however, a hadith which says that Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, no person is born but that he is pricked by shaitan and he cries from the touch of shaitan, except for Mary and her son. Is this hadith fabricated? Because the cry of the baby is actually a natural phenomenon. So good question this is. So this kind of question, it fits into a category of what we call trying to understand science and using science as a measure of interpreting the Quran and Hadith. So the question now comes is, can we use science? Basically science is our observable experience. The observable experience that humans have of the universe. Can we use this as a means of interpreting what the Quran says and what the Hadith says? So for example, like someone may argue, science has proven now that the earth spins around the sun. And therefore, the sun is not really moving around the earth. But the Quran says the sun set, for example, or the hadith mentions the sun rose. So now are we going to say that these hadith are fabricated? Or, for example, other sort of narrations where it's mentioned that, the ayats that mention, يُسَبِّحُ الرَّعْدُ بِحَمْدِهِ, that lightning, it gives tasbih, it praises Allah in the skies. And then we know from science that lightning is simply particles in the air that rub together, right? And that creates friction. And that friction creates electricity. And that electricity, it has to discharge itself into the earth, right? So you see, here is where there was a group of scholars in the beginning of Islam, the Mu'tazila, who approached Islam, they used the measure. They said, okay, let's get the Quran, let's get all the hadith that we have, and let's interpret all of this based upon the science that we know of today, the logic and the science that we know. So they're trying to interpret all these things. So clearly, this seems to be a very sort of problematic approach, because science is always changing, right? The understanding of science is always changing. This is one reason. The understanding of science is always changing. And because this understanding of science is always changing, that means every generation, the new science theories that come out are going to have to be revised, and then we're going to have to revise the Quran again. So we're always going to be in a state where we're always kind of checking, we're unsure about the Quran, what it means. So this is one problem that the Mu'tazila had. Second problem that the Mu'tazila had was that the Mu'tazila would assume, right, that the existence that we have, when the narrations and the hadith, they talk about something, they would say this has to be metaphorical, right? So for example, when the narrations mention that the sun prostrates every day to Allah, they said it has to be metaphorical. How can the sun prostrate? Prostration is when the head touches the ground and the feet on the ground, and like a human prostrating. The sun doesn't prostrate. This is absurd. So they would criticize narrations like this. So if you read, for example, like Zamakhshari in his tafsir, you will find this particular hadith that the person mentioned over here regarding the crying of the child, right? He actually considers it to be like a bogus hadith, right? And he says, how can this be a hadith when it doesn't even make sense? Like, how can shaitan prick someone, right? Why doesn't shaitan do it to everyone in the world? So this is where, again, Imam Zamakhshari and others are trying to use the logic, trying to use their understanding of the worldly sort of observations to revisit ayats and hadith. So like I said to you, this is very problematic. This is because, someone can start using Darwinism to reinvestigate. Then when Neo-Darwinism comes, people are going to use Neo-Darwinism to revisit the hadith and the narrations. So there's a very simple answer to this hadith that comes to my mind, which is this. And this is what some of the, like for example, Ruh al-Ma'ani, so Al-Alusi has also alluded on this as well, and he's analysed what Zamakhshari said, and he's written a very balanced answer, which is simply this, that when we say, for example, like the Prophet ﷺ says something, what we have to understand is when the Prophet ﷺ is speaking, he's speaking of reality, like the ultimate reality. Science is like, imagine a science is like a road, and this road is on its journey to get to reality. And it's just like kind of whizzing around here and there and going here and going back and forth. It can't get to reality. It just thinks it's getting to reality. When Allah and the Prophet ﷺ talk about something, they are talking about the ultimate reality, super reality, what it is. Like one of those movies where like there's like Matrix, yeah? And like, the guy's in the Matrix, and then all of a sudden he's taken out of the Matrix, and then he realized this is ultimate reality. This is what scientists are like. And the Quran and the Hadith are telling us what reality is. But when the Quran and Hadith explain reality, they explain it in very, very simple language. Like language that anyone can understand. And this is where I think a lot of people have sort of problems with this. Like for example, you get lots of, like we said, ayats in the Quran, yeah, or even narrations which mention, like for example, some people say the earth is flat. Why? Because in the Quran Allah says Allah has spread the earth. Or some people will say that, I don't know, the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the heat of summer is from Jahannam. And people will say, oh, that means that Jahannam is very close. The sun is Jahannam. So they see that they're trying to make sense of what. So, it's futile into going all of this, because this falls under what we call the mutashabihat. So when the Prophet ﷺ, he speaks to the Sahaba were very straightforward people. They would accept his words as he said them. And even if they couldn't understand the nuances of what he was saying, they believed in what he said is the ultimate truth. Yeah, just like, a child will believe what their parents are saying as the ultimate truth. And we believe what Allah and the Prophet are saying is the ultimate truth. So this hadith could mean, for example, I'm just thinking out loud, this hadith could mean that when humans are born, this is the first time they come into the realm of influence of shaitan. And when it mentions about the pricking of shaitan, this could mean that when the child comes out into the realm, he's affected for the first time ever by the influence of shaitan. And the screaming of the shaitan doesn't necessarily mean the screaming of the child doesn't necessarily mean when he cries there. It's the natural crying the first time ever of this exposure and this kind of like manifestation of this is the sarah. Yeah. So this is why it doesn't necessarily mean that when he cries, when he comes out, that's because shaitan was there and just like when he's coming out and just poking him. That's how the Prophet explained it. But Ruh al-Ma'ani, Al-Alusi says, this could mean that when he comes into existence, that this is the effect shaitan has on him. Right? The influence that shaitan has, that he's realized that there's this concept of evil in the world, or he senses it, you can say. The child has this detection system that senses evil. Yeah? So, like that. Anyway, next one. MP, stop please spamming and the same question. Tahir Bijli asking the same question again. Okay. MR, thank you, bro. I will check. Hassan Khan, mashallah, jazakallah khair for your wonderful. Mashallah, Bima, jazakallah khair for your donation. Mashallah, guys, check out Bima's YouTube channel. Bima does all sorts of things, yeah. He does cooking videos on his channel. He does loads of stuff, yeah. Just check the guy out, inshallah. And inshallah, he's going to be doing an interview with me, inshallah, after COVID-19, yeah? After the 2 meters apart rule. Jazakallah khair, Bima. May Allah reward you. Thank you, bro. I'll check out your video on zakat and 2.5% of 10,000. Is it 250? Because 2.5% of 1,000 is 50. Yeah. Basically, you divide it by 40. So 10,000 divided by 40. Yeah, how much is that? Is it 250? 50 times... Okay, maybe my calculation's wrong. Yeah, let me just quickly do a calculation. Maybe you're right. I mean, although I did get good marks in maths. I think my maths a bit rusty. 10,000 divided by 40. 250, yes, you're right. Sorry, I do apologize. Yeah, you're right. My mistake. My maths is weak. Nada Amin, when you pray Sunnah al-Ratiba, do we read Surah al-Fatiha and read a surah after? Yes. So when you read your Sunnahs, you read Fatiha and Surah. It's only in the Fard Salat, in the last 2 rakats, where you only read Fatiha. Muhammad Khan, wa alaikum assalam. Muhammad Khan, ahlan wa sahlan marhaban. Bima, I've heard some people say that do Salat following a congregation online. Is that permissible? I find that a bit strange. So, good question this is. So I think I'll elaborate on this question, because this is a common question a lot of people have been asking me. Even my dad's friend was even asking this question to me the other day. So when we pray Salat, basically, there's 2 things that the scholars discuss. One is you have to be behind the Imam. Like the word Imam means in front. It's from the word Amam, in front. And some say it's from the word Amma ya Ummu, which is to lead, which also means front as well. So therefore, the Imam has to be in front and people have to be behind. So what does that mean? So if the Qibla is over here, the people here, the Imam has to be here, right? So the people cannot be in front of the Imam. That's the first thing everyone agrees upon. People cannot be in front of the Imam because it goes against the whole concept of leading prayer. Second issue is that how much gap what's the largest gap that there can be between the rows, right, for the Salat to be valid? This is another issue that I discuss. So with regards to the first point, if people are praying, let's say online, and let's say the Imam lives here and the Imam is praying here, and there's someone that lives over there, and there's someone that lives over there, and someone lives over there, they clearly are not praying behind the Imam, is it? They're not praying. So this is where the concept, the fuqaha would say, you're not really behind the Imam. Now if someone says, well, we don't really need to be behind the Imam physically, as long as we believe we're behind him in following his actions, then that's a bit strange, because then that would actually basically kind of mean that in the days of Sahaba, was there any example, or in the Tabi'in, any example where the Imam was in the front or some followers were ever in front? So yes, the Kaaba, the Qibla, right, the Kaaba, that's the only one place that we know where the Imam's in front and people can be in different directions as long as they're facing the Qibla. So that's why the online one is a very weak argument to say that you can be anywhere and you can face. So if, let's for argument's sake, okay, Imam is over here and everyone is behind. Online, everyone is behind. We're guaranteed that. Yeah? Okay, so let's say, for example, Imam is in London, he's praying, and people in North London, and people in Oxford, and people in Birmingham, people in Manchester and Glasgow, they're all praying behind the Imam. So obviously they are like behind the Imam. Okay, so first problem has been solved. Second problem is the gap. How do we resolve this issue of the gap then? So according to the Hanafis, the opinion that I found is that the largest gap can be a gap, right, which is about 40, like you say, 40 cubits, which is about 18 or so meters gap, right? Some of them argue. And some of them have said, like Imam Shurun Bulali has actually said, that as long as the follower knows the actions that Imam's doing, he can be as far as he wants. Yeah, so this is why Imam Shurun Bulali is the most lenient in this opinion. But the rest, they say, no, it has to be a reasonable gap, that you can consider it to be in the same location. What they call ittihad al-makan. That's why I'm saying that, I'm not saying that it will be totally wrong, but I'm saying that the argument is very weak for this. Right? I don't really have much knowledge about all of the other madhabs in detail, so I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly how that works. Hassan Khan, Allah grant you a long life and keep you happy. Ameen. Jazakallah khair, Hassan. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you a beautiful life as well. And protect you as well. Muhammad Khan, Ameen. Isa Ahmed, are there any du'as for death? I would like to get COVID and die from it. Isa, you're always asking for death, bro. Yeah, it doesn't sound healthy. You're always asking for death. Yeah, so if Allah's gonna give you death at a certain point, that death's gonna come to you, right? You can't bring it forward, you can't bring it back. But I think I don't know if you're asking. So there is a dua which you can ask, which is that, oh Allah, if death is good for me, then take my soul. Yeah. In كانت حياة خير لي اللهم إن كانت الوفاة خير فاقبضني لغير مفتون. Yeah, so Allah, if death is better for me, then take my soul without testing me. That's the best dua to make, Isa. Share the flash madhab. Is taqleed of one madhab necessary, or can you take the opinion from another madhab? So generally the people do not have to follow a madhab. They follow an expert. So whatever the expert tells them, that's what they follow, right? But if someone is studying a madhab, they should abide by a madhab until they reach an expert level where they can choose from other madhabs. Burhan Saeed, assalamu alaikum. I am Mrs. Burhan and I am your student nowadays, learning Arabic from your lessons. Jazakallah khair. Pray for me. I am from Pakistan. May Allah give you jaza for this. May Allah give you jaza. And may Allah put barakah in your studying, and may Allah protect you from coronavirus as well and your family as well. Ameen. Thank you very much for your beautiful dua. T for Arabic. How to get introduced to Arabic poetry, how to compose them, how to understand them. So let me explain something to you. Do not try to compose Arabic poetry. Yeah, you can't do it. Trust me, it's not like English poetry. Arabic poetry is natural, as in you will get it naturally. And that's it. Like, there's no way to kind of train yourself into making Arabic poetry. I've tried it. It does not work. You simply have to read and memorize so much poetry that it comes naturally to you. It's like breathing. Yeah, it's like breathing. So a lot of people like try to write English poetry, and they try to write Urdu poetry, and you can train yourself in that. But in Arabic you cannot, because Arabic poetry requires specific patterns. Yeah, it has to follow a specific pattern, and this is why you cannot come out for yourself. You can try to, but it sounds extremely strange. It sounds very robotic. Okay, how to get introduced? I would say start off studying basic texts like Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Go through the entire Diwan Imam Shafi'i, Diwan of Hassan bin Thabit, Diwan of Ali. So these three, I would say, try to go through those. Those are quite easy to go through. Shawqi, Diwan of Shawqi, Ahmad Shawqi, and then you got Diwan of I would say maybe who else is there? Mutanabbi, right? Diwan of Mutanabbi, Diwan of Abu Tammam, right? Al-Hamasa by Abu Tammam, yeah. So these are kind of the ones that you should. Then you go through classical Arabic poetry, which is Jahili poetry, the Saba Mu'allaqat or the Ashar Mu'allaqat. Okay, let's check another one. Assalamu alaikum. As Abu Bakr Jassas held the belief that Allah will not literally be seen in the hereafter life, are we allowed to say Rahimahullah after mentioning? Yes, you can. Yeah, after no problem. And then he's not a kafir. He's not out of the fold of Islam, right? You can say Rahimahullah. You can make dua for them. Totally fine. I think some people assume, some people have this understanding that basically, when we are dealing with when we say someone is deviant sect, we tend to think in our mind these were evil, conniving. They were sitting around a table and saying ha 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 ha. Those kind of villains in James Bond. They were like that. These guys used to pray tahajjud. These guys used to cry to Allah. They used to fast more than us. Yeah, some of them. So in other words, these were people who will leave their piety to Allah. Yeah. When it comes to their academic discussions, then we say that they have made a very grievous or grave mistake in their particular view on a certain aqidah point, right? And that's it. We make dua for them. We say Rahimahullah after their name, and we take their views. Many of them were found in narrators of Hadith Bukhari, right? The narrators of Bukhari, many of them are Khawarij. Many of them had, Qadariya beliefs. So it's It's something which is there. So I think people they assume that you know only the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah on the haqq and they're on the truth, and we cannot make dua for anyone else, and everyone else, the Shia and the Mu'tazila and the Ibadiyya and all these people are all deviants going Jahannam, right? We've already kind of like, and this is something which is wrong. This is a mentality that's kind of been indoctrinated inside of people. That's what I personally believe. Okay, certain people who lived in the Arabian Peninsula before the era of the Prophet ﷺ and who did not receive the message of the Prophet ﷺ are known as the Ahl Fatra. Doesn't that fact that Ahl Fatra existing disprove the verse of the Quran? Allah says, وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولٍ. No. I think this is the same person asking all these questions. So look, again, this is a total misunderstanding of this verse. وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ. It doesn't say وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ زَمَانٍ or في كُلِّ مَكَانٍ. It doesn't say that. في كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ means like a whole society that was a key place. Allah sent a messenger. So if you were to have a timeline, let's say, and you had this earth, you had a 3D timeline. So for example, there'd be messengers sent to Middle East, messengers sent to Africa, messengers sent to over period of time. And when these messengers would die, the message would slowly die with them. And then another one was sent. So every time between two messengers being sent, there was a gap. This was called fatra, right? So it was like key that every time a messenger existed, his message was limited to his locality and his time zone. So for example, an average messenger lives for 60, 70 years. So for 60, 70 years, those people who received the message were now not excused from rejecting it. But when the messenger disappeared and the message began to disappear, these people were known as fatra, they're excused now. They're like the buffer zone people, right? A buffer zone, kind of like grey area. Does that make sense? So this is what the verse means. I think you misunderstood what the verse means, but it's a easily understandable mistake that people make, and this is what happens when someone has not studied the Quran like in depth and properly, and they've just gone through translation of it in a madrasa or something like that, or they haven't really kind of covered the Quran fully. Mistakes like these are made, and unfortunately lots of people are voicing their own personal understandings of the Quran ayats and giving like a wrong meaning, and it just causes so much problem for the public, because they kind of assume that, oh, look at this, there's a mistake in the Quran. And I personally believe a lot of people who have issues with things in Islam, it's not because of the experts, like the true experts, it's because of people who are not experts trying to poise themselves or place themselves as experts in the society. And I think that's a very a dangerous position that people put themselves in. So whoever asks this question, I do not mean by this in any way to make you humiliate you in any way at all. Forgive me if I have tried to do that. But what I'm saying is a general concept where, like the question regarding the Isa alayhi salam, the pricking of shaitan and other issues as well. Yeah. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Last question on the curious cat, then all the questions on here then. How do you respond to this analogy which some Christians use to reason belief of the Trinity? The Trinity is like an egg. In one egg, you have the white and yolk and the shell composing of one full egg. So why 3 then? Why not 4? Why not 5? Why not 6? See, the problem with the Trinity is that it goes totally illogical. It goes totally against the idea of there being a one entity. Like, one entity means it has no hollowness. Like what Surah Ikhlas says, that's the one entity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's ahad, no parts, no bits. It cannot be divisible physically, mentally. Samad, it's something everyone relies upon. It's got no gaps, no hollowness in there. It has never been given birth to. It's never given birth to anything, right? And there's nothing equal to it, right? So this is why this whole concept of layers is something equal. There's things in the universe that are layered. Allah cannot be layered. So therefore, when they come out with this, where did they get this concept from? Like, where did they get this concept of Trinity from? It's not from the Bible. It's something that they have invented themselves 200 or 300 years in the Nicaea, convention they had. It's like from there. So this is why it doesn't matter how much they try to play with the words of Trinity. Trinity is a flawed concept. Now, it doesn't matter if they try to explain it and say, oh, look, doesn't, like, I remember one Christian was saying this. Look, doesn't Allah say that He's Allah, Rahman, Rahim? Bismillah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Three, and He's one. Subhanallah. Allah is saying about Himself the different attributes He has. So he's Allah, but he has various attributes. Yeah, and these are attributes are fine. It doesn't go against the oneness of Allah. So what they're not saying attributes. They're actually saying three entities, three separate entities. So it doesn't matter how much you try to play around with the concept of three entities, right? You try and make it sound. You could say, okay, well, why not use like three: the placenta, the womb, and the belly. All three. Why not use that? It's silly. It doesn't really make sense. Trying to use that to explain three parts of Allah. Yeah, it's a flawed concept. It goes against the oneness of Allah. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. All these questions are done. MashaAllah. Okay. Right. So, Muhammad Khan, Ustad, what zakat becomes fard on someone? Do they have to pay zakat on thresholds as well? Yes, on the entire sum. So basically, you have to give, when your zakat is necessary. Let's say, for example, today my zakat is necessary on me. Whatever I have in my savings, I have to give zakat on that, the entire sum. So if I have £1,000, I've got to give on everything, the threshold and everything above threshold, and the whole thing. So I would suggest again, watch my video on crash course of zakat. So crash course of zakat, I've explained in detail all these things, alhamdulillah. Manzoor Khan, ahlan wa sahlan, sanga chalde Manzoora. Manzoor Saab, sanga chalde maze ke ya tasu ustaz tasu name tapos ko da yau roza sumra fidya da. The yau roja da takriban 3 ponda ya da se sa 3 ponda balagi inshallah. Ci sumra porque jumat ke ci sumra porque fitrana da dumra da. So I see a bit of Pashto there, guys. So if you guys are just like, oh, subhanallah, that language sounds so beautiful. And it's true, because this Pashto language, according to some, is going to be spoken in Jannah. Yeah, according to some, I said, yeah. So before you put fatwas on me. Khadija L. Mufti Sahab, what type of device do you use for making your videos? Your drawings are with Apple Pencil. So the videos that I make with the drawing, like for example my Surah Qasas and the Quduri ones, I actually use a Wacom. I'm going to try to make a tutorial on what I use. I use a Wacom pad, which you can get for about £50-60. And I just use a normal free paint software that you can download from any computer. And to record the screen, you can use anything to record the screen, but I use the software called Screencast-O-Matic. You got to pay for it, annual fee. But it's very good. It's got lots of features on there. And then I just edit it, and then I edit the sound as well. So there's like lots of things I do to the video before I put it up. But basically that's what I do. So I've got a pad. I mean, if I show you guys. So this is the pad that I use, right? This is the pad. It's got a pen with it. It's called Wacom. It's got a wire. It connects. So I write on here, and this is just an A4 piece of paper I put on top of here. And the reason I put this A4 is because it makes it just seem a bit more realistic when I write. Yeah, so it's like more realistic. Ed Akh, what is heel? Is it good or bad? Heel. So are you talking about healer as in stratagem? So basically, the Prophet ﷺ, one day someone came to him and said to him, look, we have these dates, 1 kilo of these dates, and we sell it for let's say 2 kilos of these dates. Yeah, 1 sa, 2 sa'as. Is this allowed? He said, no, this is usury. Like selling 1 kilo of dates for 2 kilos, you're not allowed to. It has to be equal. If you're selling the same item on both sides, dates for dates, they have to be the same, the Prophet ﷺ said. So when they were selling 1 kilo for 2 kilos, he said no. They said, what do we do then? He said, what you can do is sell these dates for cash. Take that cash and buy these dates. That's called a hila. That's called a stratagem. Like you're going around it. So the scholars say, as long as you're using a stratagem which is not making a haram halal, right? Not making a haram halal, then it's allowed. Right, so in other words, because the Prophet is not making the haram halal here, all he's making them avoid a haram. So there's a difference between making a haram halal and avoiding a haram. So for example, like, you know, let's say a person doesn't want to go into a interest-based mortgage, and they want to go through, let's say, an Islamically viable version of it. That would be considered to be a hila. Hila simply means a stratagem. Like you're trying to use a detour route, another road, to try and achieve the same thing, right? So you're not going to use the haram road. You're going to use the that. Okay, what about sitting on the musalla opposite to the qibla, so not to face the qibla? Is it disrespectful? No, not at all. The Prophet ﷺ would sometimes have his back towards the qibla, yeah, and he would sometimes put his back towards the Kaaba. So in Mecca, he would lean on the Kaaba. Also, some say you shouldn't have a toilet or bed, etc., opposite the qibla. Is this wrong? So this is a good question. So the Prophet ﷺ, see, there's 3 narrations that come from the Prophet ﷺ regarding the etiquettes of defecating and urinating. So one narration, the Prophet ﷺ says, do not face the qibla and do not put your back towards the qibla. In one narration, Jabir radiallahu anhu, he says that I saw the Prophet ﷺ that 1 year before he passed away, he was facing towards the qibla. Yeah. So 1 year before he passed away, he allowed this. So one group of scholars takes the first hadith, Salman al-Farsi hadith, and they say you're not allowed to put your front to the qibla and the back. Another group of scholars say, no, we take the Jabir hadith, which is more updated. It's like Jabir is saying, the last thing the Prophet ﷺ did was he faced the qibla. As in, he abrogated this. In the beginning of Islam, maybe he didn't allow people to face and put their back to the qibla, but later on he did. And the third opinion is the opinion of the Shafis and the Malikis. They take the hadith of Ibn Umar. And Ibn Umar radiallahu anh says, I one day climbed on top of the house of Hafsa. So Hafsa used to live where, you know where the grave of the Prophet ﷺ is. So where you walk in Bab al-Salam, that path, Hafsa's house was there. The first house was Hafsa's house. So he says, basically, I climbed on my sister's house, Hafsa's house, and I peeked over and I saw the Prophet ﷺ like on the squatting, and he was urinating towards Masjid Aqsa. Right. So if he's facing Masjid Aqsa, which is like north, south is the qibla. So he had his back towards the qibla. So the Shafis and the Malikis say that if you're indoors and there's like a wall in front of you, you're allowed to face in any direction you want. It's not prohibited. As in, the prohibition is if you're outdoors. These are 3 madhabs. There's actually 8 madhabs with regards to this whole issue of can you put your front or back towards the qibla when you're going toilet. So in the Hanafis, there's 2 positions. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah says you're not allowed to put your front or your back to the qibla when you're urinating or defecating, whether you're indoors or whether you're outdoors. Imam Abu Yusuf rahimahullah, he says that if you're indoors, then you're allowed to put your back towards the qibla. You can't face towards the qibla. And that's the Hanafis. There's a report from Abu Hanifa as well, which is Ghair Zahir Riwayah, which actually from Hassan, he says that it's actually makruh tanzihi, like it's just something not good to do. You won't be sinful for doing it. Yeah, but the Zahir Riwayah says you shouldn't. And then there's like other reports, Shafi, I told you Shafi Maliki one, the Hanbali one is indoors, you're allowed to put your, indoors and outdoors, you're allowed to put your back towards the qibla, but not face towards the qibla. Yeah, so there's like various opinions there. So you see, a lot of these opinions, what tends to happen is sometimes we only hear one opinion and we don't realize how much scope there is in the masala. Right? And that's why it's good to kind of ask people who have kind of gone through these kind of masail to get clarification on this. Okay. Edie, if I made my gold and silver into jewelry for my wife, if I had one, so I don't have to pay my zakat, would that be heal? So according to Hanafis, you still have to give zakat on it. She still has to give zakat, even if it's jewelry. So I mean, Shafis would be different. As long as she wears it regularly, according to the Shafis, she doesn't have to give zakat on it. Right? Then it becomes hers, so it's hers now. And if she wants to give it back to you, it's up to you. But the Hanafis say zakat is on all types of gold and silver, irrespective of whether it's for jewelry or not. Big Mo, Sheikh Imam Abu Hanifa was a Salaf as well, true or not? Yes, definitely. S. Khan, if you could move to any city in the world to teach, where would you choose? I think Makkah, Medina, Masjid Aqsa. Yeah, Allahu Akbar. Makkah, Medina, Masjid Aqsa. And then after that, Alam Rock and Aston. Actually, Aston, and then Alam Rock. Yeah. So I think Masjid, if I could get a chance to go to Makkah, that would be the first place I'd ever teach. Yeah, and then Masjid An-Nabawi, then Masjid Aqsa. I think, if I could, yeah. But inshallah, maybe in the future, maybe when I become old and start getting white hairs and and then I don't know how to use technology, then inshallah maybe I'll move there and hopefully they'll allow me to teach in the Haram and you guys can come and learn Quranic Arabic. 17 lessons in the Haram. live stream in the haram. You've seen that guy, that sheikh in the haram, what's his name, Sheikh Makki. Yeah, he's got his own little sort of like halaqa. Okay, where would you go, Khan? Where would you go? Big Mo Sheikh, do you like tuna sandwich? Yes. MS, thoughts on Mufti Abu Layth? I mean, see, Mufti Abu Layth is a person who is my friend, right? I know him, and the thing is that he has his views, and many views I totally disagree with, right? I very openly disagree with many of his views, but end of the day, he's a Muslim, and end of the day, I think we should remember that he's a Muslim at the end of the day, and if we disagree with his views, right, and if people began to slander him and mock him, I think that is totally wrong. People shouldn't be doing that. And if he mocks people, I think that is totally wrong as well. But at the end of the day, I personally, consider him to be a Muslim, and I consider him to be someone who should be respected. And I disagree with him on many masail. I know that. Okay, Muhammad Khan, Ustad, if someone intended to sacrifice a goat for his daughter cures, is it okay for him to pay same amount money, distribute poor because of COVID? Yes, he can do that. Mr. Makalife, is our Prophet ﷺ Hazir and Nazir, and is he Noor and Bashar? I don't know. I think you're asking this question because you want to cause a bit of fitna, bro. So I don't think I'll answer that one. Yeah. So because your other question was a bit fitna as well. So I think Mr. Makalife, I don't want to ask questions where people are just wanting to kind of, let's test this guy, yeah? Let's test this guy if he's against Brelvis, if he's for Brelvis, if he's against Deobandis, if he hates Salafis. There's people in here, I'm sure, who are probably just sitting there thinking, right, let's catch him out. Yeah, and people used to do that with my teachers. People did that with other people as well. People try to do that with the Prophet ﷺ as well. Yeah, Allah says about the munafiqs in the Quran that they used to say ra'ina. And then Allah said to the Sahaba, don't say ra'ina. Because this is the munafiqs trying to make publicly the Prophet ﷺ say something so people can laugh at him. Right, let's watch this guy. Watch what I'm going to do to the Prophet. So they'd go to the gatherings and they'd say to the Prophet, ra'ina, ra'ina, ra'ina. And ra'ina in Arabic, one meaning of ra'ina is, please, can you consider us? Please, can you listen to us? And the Prophet ﷺ used to take them for face value and say, okay, what would you like? But they were saying ra'ina, like our shepherd. Hey, shepherd boy, come here. Like it was a derogatory swear, like a swear word. And Allah informed a verse came in the Quran. So you've got to be very careful. So, I mean, I answer your questions because I honestly just want to help you guys out. If you truly have questions, there's lots of people out there who really have honest questions and you guys want your questions answered. And you guys say to me, look, we don't have any scholars to ask. We don't have anyone to ask questions about Nahu and Sarf and Quran and this and that. And this is why I take out my time. Because if you think about it, who would sit 2.5 hours, 3 hours in front of a camera to answer people's questions? Yeah, who would do that? If you think about it, I mean, I do, but who else does it out there? So this is why, if I feel the question is simply just to cause sectarianism, and it's just to cause strife, and just to make a point that, right, you're a deviant or you're like this, fine. If you think I'm a deviant, alhamdulillah, on the day of judgment, Allah is going to judge. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much knowledge you've studied. I don't know how much, how many PhDs you've done on deviancy. That's up to you. So I think your question, Mr. Mac for life, I think it's just a question which seems to me just to cause sectarianism, so I'm not going to answer that. Okay, Abdullah Bilal, wa alaikum assalam. Sheikh, I wanted to know, while going through the Arabic lessons, I realized that Allah has used the word we to describe his actions a lot in the place in the Quran. My question is, Allah is singular, then how? Yes, excellent question this is. So basically, look, when it comes to the Quran, it's in Arabic, isn't it? And Arabic has its own culture. It has its own expressions. Like, like in English, we say things like, like we call a ship, she. Like we call, mechanical things, she's in English. Have you noticed that? She's a lovely, she's a lovely motor. She's a lovely engine. We call it she. But what do you think? Why? Like, does it give, eggs? Does it lay eggs? Does it give birth? Does it? But it's just in our culture, in English culture, we like to call like mechanical objects she's. Yeah. In Arabic, you also have these kind of concepts there. So in Arabic, when royalty is speaking, when like power is speaking, when government is speaking, The Arabs use we. In English, we use it as well. Like, for example, authority, they call it royal speech. Yeah. In Urdu as well, you get in Urdu, and I'm sure in Bengali you have this as well. When authority is speaking, they use the we pronoun. Yeah, so it's like, we'll see. Like, you go to your CEO and you say to him, oh, can I have a week off holiday? And he goes, we'll see. Not I'll see. We, as in, the authority will see. So it's all like a statement of authority. Okay, so Sharif Will, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban. USA, my bro from USA. Yeah. Khadija Al, if you could compare yourself in terms of personality, not religion, to a Sahabi, who would it be? Favorite Sahabi. Personality, not religion, to a Sahabi. Compare yourself in terms of personality, not to religion. I don't know, I mean, I want to say Umar radiallahu anhu, but I don't know. But different things, innit? Maybe, I don't know, maybe a bit like, I would like to think like Umar radiallahu anhu. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Abdullah bin Mas'ud. Tough question. And you know me and my favorite questions. Favorite Sahabi questions. I do not like favorites. I do not best. Yeah. Big Mo. Ahmad Khan cannot be compared. See, again, I don't think these kind of... Big Mo, and I have respect for you. I have respect for you, but you know what? I think you're speaking out of terms here. Right? You need to remember, I don't think you've studied. I don't think you have the right to be able to compare people. So I think, sometimes we just got to, just stay in our own lanes, I think. So respect for you, Big Mo, but I think, we got to be careful. Riyaz, how necessary is mantiq in your opinion? So I think mantiq is necessary for two things. Number one, it's necessary because of those books that were written in terminology of mantiq terminology. Right, so they're written in a way that is very mantiqi. Number two, it's needed for being able to construct like a debate, sort of like argument. That's all it's needed for. Besides that, it's not needed to understand the deen at all. You do not need mantiq to understand the Quran. You do not need mantiq to understand hadith. You do not need mantiq to understand fiqh and aqidah. Not at all. You only need it to understand. It's like basically like a gateway language to understand books from a certain period to a certain period, and to be able to construct like arguments and debates, if you want to go into that. What fiqh do you follow? Hanafi fiqh. Hamza Esmunsa, what does your course Ilm al-Urud course cover? Is it based off from a specific text? So basically it's based off several texts that I've kind of gone through. They did Ilm al-Urud many times with teachers, right, in the past. I've studied it many times. And alhamdulillah, I had a good opportunity to study from people who are very like experts in the science. So I tried to make it as easy as possible, because the way I studied it was a bit difficult, and I found it very hard. But I tried to make it as easy as possible, very sort of like, at the level of people of our generation. Mr. MacLife, what kind of mistakes did Imam Ahmad Raza Khan make? I believe he is the best scholar in this century. That's fine. If you believe that, I've told it's fine. But yes, he made mistakes in his fatwa. He made mistakes. He's got a book on Jadd al-Mumtaz and Radd al-Muhtar. He's made mistakes on issues of nazar in there. There's a whole section on there that he's written, and people have, like Sheikh Lu'ay al-Khalil has refuted him on certain points in there as well. So I don't want to go into issues. I mean, if you have respect for a scholar and you put him on your head, alhamdulillah. The only person I have full 100% respect for, and I find no criticism in, is the Prophet ﷺ. Besides the Prophet ﷺ, everyone makes mistakes. Imam Malik said this, and I believe this. Imam Malik said that everyone's statement can be taken, can be rejected. Right? There's nothing wrong in their statements or in their ijtihad or anything like that. Right? And that's something I live by. Right? I even find Abu Hanifa is Malik and Shafi and Imam Ahmad Hanbal and all these scholars in the past, they clearly did make mistakes now and again. But جاسد نفسي وعلت همتي وقوي الثقة بربي ما شاء الله وإن لم يكن هذه لأن موضوع تعرف موضوعه هنا موضوعه ليس لا علاقة له بالدين علاقته ب يعني القومية والوطنية SMB وعليكم السلام أهلا وسهلا Is there class on Thursday? So no, there's a classes on Monday and Tuesday. So if you look on your calendar, you check your calendar. What's the point of sending you a calendar, bhai? Check your calendar that you were given at the beginning of the year, and the whole year is mapped out for you. So far. Sadiq Ali, Sheikh Azhar in Egypt was this founded by the Shias and run by Shias. Please shed light. Yes. So basically, what happened was roughly in the 300s, all the way till about the 500s, right? So it's about 250 years or so. There was a offshoot of Shias known as the Ubaydis. They call themselves the Fatimis as well, but they were called the Ubaydis. And they took over Egypt, and not all of Egypt, but large portions of North Africa and that section. And they took it over, and they built the Azhar University in their time. Then slowly afterwards, they kind of like slowly mellowed down, and then they allowed Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah to have their establishments there as well. And then eventually they disappeared in the time of Salahuddin Ayyubi. They kind of faded away. But yeah, they did exist. So yeah, so Azhar's original foundations were built by the Ubaydiyins. Dina, wa alaikum assalam. Do eardrops break once fast? No, they don't. Right, they don't. Classical books mention they do, but many of the later scholars have actually based this understanding and said that this whole concept of the manfadh, as in like the jawf of the body, the inner body, was understood based on classical understanding of medieval biology. Yeah. So like nowadays we know that in the ears there's no like channel that goes to the throat. There's an eardrum that's blocking it. But in the past they may have assumed that there was a channel going through. So that's why they said if you put oil in your ears or some medicine, it'll break your fast because it gets into the jawf, it gets into the inner cavity of the body. So no, it doesn't break. Why now? Yes, lots of proverbs and metaphor. That's why I love it, and I ask my Arab friends to explain. Definitely, that's why it's good to study. And I really want. I'm just thinking about this because there's a guy in Egypt. His name is Abu Qais At-Ta'i, and he has this kind of like thing where he kind of goes through poetry and he goes in detail and he has discussion like live streams. He has live streams on Arabic poetry, right? So I'm thinking maybe in the future I might start something like that, where I'm going to start this kind of idea of like going through poetry, but going like really in depth, and creating this interest in people of poetry, like bringing poetry to life in the UK. Yeah, and maybe it'll pick up, and maybe people are interested, and make dua inshallah. Sheikh R7, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, wa ahlan wa sahlan, kayf al-hal, ya R7. What would you recommend to study after doing the Medina books 3 parts of Qasas? And okay, so after this, what I would suggest is study a grammar text. If you haven't studied a grammar text yet, study a grammar text, maybe like Ajurumiyya, and then follow it up with something like Sharqat al-Nada, or maybe even like Hidayat al-Nahu, or maybe even like Ibn Malik. Then just do loads of reading. Spend like 6 months reading texts with scholars, like Arabic texts, not like fiqh or hadith, something like that. Arabic texts like Adab al-Arabi, yeah, going through them, like al-Mukhtarat or something else like that. Just going through text with scholars, until you develop this feeling that you can pick up any Arabic book and you can start reading it yourself. That's what you need. And poetry as well. Make sure in that 6 months you cover a good section of poetry. Bima Bay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ayyan, ahlan wa sahlan, Ayyan again. MashaAllah. Sufyan, request du'as from my wife and mother-in-law. We all eagerly await your question and answer session. Jazakallah khair. Sufyan's family, mashallah, Sufyan, for your beautiful donation. May Allah preserve you guys. May Allah, and inshallah after COVID-19, inshallah, Sufyan, we have to meet, inshallah. Yeah, we have to make some sort of like arrangement to meet, inshallah. Why now? Tadabbur al-Quran by Maulana Amin Ahsan Islahi has been translated to English, and I really enjoyed reading. Yes, that's a very, very nice book to read as well. I think Sheikh Akram Nadawi is going through Farahi. Farahi is also another good writer, right? Farahi, he's also another good writer, and his books are originally Urdu, but I think he's going to be explaining them in the tafsir in English. So that's a very good sort of like writer there. Citrus Shobi, have you heard of Tafsir Mawdudi? Yes, I've heard of Tafsir Mawdudi. Tafsir Mawdudi, I think it's a very good. The translation is very good, right? But certain parts of it, I disagree with certain things that he said, right? So there's certain sections of there which I think, because he wasn't an expert in tafsir, I think he's trying to put his own logical understandings, and he didn't do a very good job. Like for example, when he talks about the issue with regards to Sulaiman alayhi salam, وَأَلْقَيْنَا عَلَى كُرْسِيهِ جَسَدًا ثُمَّ أَنَابَ. Right, in his footnotes, he's kind of criticized the narration of Sahih Muslim, and he's kind of, and I know he's not an expert. I can tell from his writing, he's not an expert in hadith science, and he's kind of made very big pitfall mistakes in there. But I would say his translation is very good. And the same with Sheikh Muhammad Ghazali. So Muhammad Ghazali and him were at the same time. Muhammad Ghazali was Egyptian living in Saudi. So he's also made very similar mistakes in his thematic Quran. So you read his thematic Quran, similar mistakes. S. Hussein, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, ahla wa sahlan, marhaban. S. Hussein. Fayruzi Bibi Face Nabuma. Whoa, that's a massive name there. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, ahla wa sahlan. Is what du'as should someone who is to be reciting during Ramadan days? So the best du'a to recite is the Prophet ﷺ used to recite رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. And also Laylatul Qadr du'a, which is Allahumma innaka afuun kareem tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anna. Yeah, two these du'as. And number 3, ask Allah for Jannah and seek protection from Jahannam. Yeah, ask Allah for Jannah and seek protection from Jahannam. So these 4 things the Prophet ﷺ would do regularly in Ramadan. Chasing supercars. Hadith of Sahal ibn Sa'd, which is in Bukhari, supports the idea that the hands should be placed on the chest. Okay, so I don't know. You'll have to bring the whole hadith and I have to check the hadith of what you're talking about. There's no, trust me, there is no authentic hadith with regards to. There is a hadith that is used for the chest, but that contains a narrator called Mu'ammal. Now, Mu'ammal is a very problematic narrator. Even Imam Bukhari considers him problematic. Yeah. So, brother Chasing, look, I'm not saying this like because I'm like supporting Hanafi and I'm like, crazy mental, like, one of those Liverpool fans or Manchester United fans who are like crazy supporters. I'm not a supporter of Hanafi like that. I'm talking to you from a very balanced hadith approach. Like, even the Hanbalis say this. Like many of the Hanbalis who do the, placing the hands on the chest and the navel, even they say this. So I don't know how much hadith you've studied, or how the wording, or how, if you know Arabic or not, right? Like this is, maybe I can do like a whole video on this, and in my, like, if you've seen the videos on the hadith chains, I can do a chain like this and go through this, right, to show you exactly all the chains and the problems in the chains. Maybe that might be a good idea. Look about that. What are you going to do about Taraweeh? I only know 8 surahs, and my wife believes in 20 rakats, and I told her I was Hafiz, so she would marry me. Can you do online Taraweeh? So basically now your marriage is in jeopardy, yeah, because you're not Hafiz. So according to the Hanafi madhab, look, let me tell you guys something. According to the Hanafi madhab, it's not permissible to read from the Quran. According to Abu Hanifa, Sahibain say that the salat will not be valid. Sorry, according to Abu Hanifa, the salat will not be valid. According to the Sahibain, they say that the salat will not be nullified. In other words, salat will be done, but it's considered makruh tahrimi. What will I be doing? Now, if I tell you, right, if I tell you this, then this is my own personal position. This is not something I'm encouraging people to do, right? So if someone says to me, someone goes around saying, Liaquat, he goes around telling people, that he's going to be doing this, and you should do this as well. No, I'm not encouraging anyone to do this, but I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I will read from a Quran, and the reason I'll be reading from a Quran is because some of my teachers said that taking the Shafi position on this is permissible because it's a nafal, and this was their view, right? Not all of them, some of them. And I personally understand the Quran, and I personally get that buzz when I read the Quran or when I listen to the Quran behind the Imam. That's what I'm going to be doing. So, and I will just be having the iPad maybe in front on the platform, and I'll be reading it from there, and I won't be changing pages, right? I'll change page when I give salam, and I'll change the page. That's basically how I'm going to be doing it. And I'm telling you this because I don't want people going around saying the Liaquat Zaman says the Hanafi madhab says this, right? It doesn't say this at all. It's not part of the Hanafi madhab position. This is something which is my own personal inclination. Khalas. Okay, who is Alusi? So Alusi, I got caps locks. Ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban from Belgium. MashaAllah, ahlan wa sahlan. So Alusi is a scholar that was 200 years ago. So he was from like Iraq kind of area. Very, very good in ilm al-kalam, mantiq, And like I really like tafsir because this tafsir challenges you. Like the arguments he brings, he reminds me of Sarakhsi basically. So Sarakhsi's usul and Alusi. So if you go on my YouTube channel, I've done a few series on tafsir studies. Like I've compared different tafsirs, and check that out. So I've gone a bit through the tafsir Alusi, and you can see the kind of deep arguments he comes out with, right? So like him, Razi, and Ibn Ashur, and Qawnawi, and Baydawi maybe not, and Ibn Abu Hayyan. These are guys are like very sort of like thought-provoking tafsirs for me anyway. Oh, look about that. What is the difference between imkan kizib and khalf wa'ad, possibly of lying and going against it? Bro, oh, look about that. Yeah, look, I don't want to have to ban you from this channel and put like a lifetime ban on you. Yeah, it's only because of your family that I'm allowing you to carry on here. You already conned your wife into thinking that you're a hafiz, and you only know 8 surahs of the Quran. So look, this whole issue with regards to imkan al-kizb, I know you're not asking this question because you want to kind of like bring up this whole like sectarianism and you want to make a big fuss about it. I know you're asking that. I will say this the one last time, and I'm never going to answer this question again. Right. So look, the reason I don't want to answer is because I don't believe that people that are viewing this are in a position where these kind of topics are digestible to them. Right. It's something which they can like absorb and take in and understand. And I believe these kind of topics will, in most people's cases, cause lots of fitna, like cause lots of confusion. People will be going home and thinking, oh my God, I didn't know this, and that kind of thing. This whole idea of imkan kizb, it boils down to the idea of how do we understand Allah? Like, what can Allah do? What can Allah not do? Does that make sense? So in other words, it's the argument of the squared circle. The squared circle argument, right? You have the squared circle argument. Like, people ask this famous question, can God make another God? Well then, if God can make another God, how can he be God? Because the whole point of God is that God has to be ultimate supreme being. And if you can make another God, that means he's not supreme being. So this is like the saying, can you make a square circle? The question is wrong. The frame of the question is totally wrong. It's a wrong question. So if you can make a square circle, it's no longer a circle anymore. It's a square. So why are you calling it a circle? You can never make a square circle. So the same thing with this idea of God. The question is totally wrong. So this is why when people ask this idea of can Allah make another Allah? Can God make a mountain that's bigger than God? This is something which is totally impossible to actually even exist. Right? It only exists in imagination. It doesn't exist in real world. So this is why this question, when people ask this question, can God lie? The idea is that, look, first of all, what is lying? Like, what's the definition of lying? Is it telling a fib? Is it telling something that's wrong? Is it telling something which you think is right, but it's wrong? Is it telling something which you think is wrong and it's really wrong? Is it telling something which is going to happen? Is it in the past? Is it in the present? And then the whole why is a lie wrong for? Like, why is a lie wrong? Right? Who created this morality that lying is wrong? So then this whole idea of morality comes into place. And this was a whole debated issue by the early scholars about the concept of where do we get morality from? Right? Is it from God? Is it from aql? Is it logic tells us? Yeah. And then it kind of like extends from that. So that's where, and then it goes into the idea of dhulm. Can Allah oppress someone? Like if Allah was to destroy the entire universe in the blink of an eye, yeah, is that wrong? Let's say, well, wrong is our own kind of like understanding of wrong, isn't it? It's not like a universal understanding. So this is why I'm saying this topic is so like philosophically it's so deep and it requires understanding so many steps before you can even discuss this. The average layman who wants to talk about the concept of imkan al-kidhb wants to miss out all the steps and take like one massive leap to get to the top step and discuss this. And I think it's a wrong discussion and you shouldn't be having this. They should be kept in the books. That's all. Khalas. End of discussion. Alright, so Ammar bin Ilyas, what is the ruling on tasbih beads, disposing them? Sorry, missed the answer. Yes, permissible. And if you want the detailed answer, you have to rewind back. Caps lock. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Forgot. Don't worry, bro. Don't worry, caps lock. Asad Zia, gathering means to be at a common place and and we can say prayers in home by Jamaat along with family members. Yes, in home, family members, excellent. Do Jamaat there. Muhammad Khan, Ustad, can we pray Jummah at home in COVID? There is a difference of opinion, but I would say no. According to the majority of opinion of Hanafis, it's not allowed at home. You pray Dhuhr and there's no sin, you don't get any less reward. I think, see, what happens is people are not worried about reward, they're more worried about the feeling they get. You know, like the Jummah feeling, Ramadan feeling, Taraweeh feeling. So a lot of people, I think, have based their concept of Islam around feelings. If they're not getting that feeling, they feel as though they're not getting that Islam. Yeah, like, you know, when you go to like a talk by a fiery sheikh who gives like a very powerful bayan, and then that feeling you enjoy. Some people confuse the emotional feeling with, and see, the reason I say it's wrong is because Christians get a feeling when they go for their talks. They get a feeling when they go for their, you know, their pilgrimages. And the Buddhists get a feeling when they do their thing, and the Hindus get a feeling when they go to the river Ganges. This feeling, I don't think it's something we should confuse with what Islam is really about. So if Allah has given this dispensation and told us, right, and the Prophet ﷺ as well, then it's fine. You know, we get no less reward for praying the Dhuhr at home in these circumstances. Asad Zia, the word Jama also means about almost the same as gathering in English. So no one can claim that after attending a meeting via online call that he gathered with the meeting's attendees. Assalamu alaikum. What can be the best and moderate book, English, Arabic, for Islamic history? The best book for Islamic history, I would say, is Tarikh At-Tabari. That's the best book. Yeah. And then you got Tarikh Ibn Asakir. And then you got Tarikh Al-Dhahabi. And then you got Bidayah wa Nihaya. And then you got Tarikh by Muhammad Shakir. Yeah, so these I think are very good Arabic works on this. Tarikh al-Baghdad, but it's more specific to Baghdad. Zara, how many men do you need to be able to perform Jum'ah prayers? 4 men. Yeah, 4 according to Hanafi madhab, including the Imam, 4. MashaAllah, I always enjoys your way of teaching. May Allah increase your knowledge and expertise to serve the humanity in best ways possible. Ameen. Jazakallah khair, Asad Zia. May Allah reward you. Thank you very much. Ameen. Okay, SMB, do I need to do wudu to touch kitabs that the verse of the Quran? According to the majority opinion, no, you don't need. Okay, moderators, we need you. Where are the moderators gone? Have they legged it? Valerie, Subhanallah, Bima, can you recommend English translated Quran where it's English like us UKers can understand? Yeah. So Gracious Quran is a very good Quran. It's by Ahmad Zaki. Gracious Quran. There's also something called the Easy Quran, written by South Africans. But Gracious Quran is a very good one. And Abdul Halim, Professor Abdul Halim's translation of the Quran. It's a very good one. Jazakallah khair, Muhammad Khan. SMB, I'd rather have you as a teacher for all my subjects in year 1, especially Sarf. Jazakallah khair, thank you very much. SMB, mashallah, mashallah. Valerie, Jazakallah khair. Manzoor Ali Khan, Ustaz, Der Mehrabani, Allah dar roh, sehat, or Der Umar darke. Ameen, ameen. Allah Ta'ala stasulam darke, inshallah. Ameen. Jazakumullah khair. Zia. Okay, Zara, is it permissible to go on a non-Muslim funeral where cremation will take place? I mean, as long as you are not taking place in a particular type of ritual that they're doing, like an ibadah, then it's permissible. Why now, Sab? You remind me of Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu. MashaAllah, Mu'adh ibn Jabal. May Allah allow me to reach the feet of Mu'adh. Any tips for Ramadan? Just fast, bro. Jazakallah khair. S. Khan, if I were to choose to close my eyes and ears, differences between Sunni Muslims, would that make me a naive? I went to Hajj and no knowledge or differences in. I really, Allah kept my Hajj pure. I mean, yes, it's fine. It's good. And that's how I approach people. Yeah, face value. As long as they say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, then you take them. Hamza is, how do you find Wahy al-Qalam by Mustafa Sadiq Rafi? So I think it's a very good book. Sometimes I listen to the audio version of it on YouTube, and I really enjoy the way he kind of explains things, the kind of sort of like the nuanced sort of way that he kind of talks about certain things inside of the stories. So I think it's a very, very nice book. Do we need to give mahar while doing tajdeed of nikah? Yes, so every time you do nikah with a woman, you have to give mahar. That's what the Quran says. Naz Adam, how would it be best to make up for years of missed salat? So slowly start it, yeah. Don't do it all at once. Just do it bit by bit. With every salat that you perform, do one qadha. Yeah, and slowly, even if you die in the process, Allah knows that you were trying to make them up. Sheikh R7, do you know how to do Arabic calligraphy? Kind of, not very well. I mean, I can do it. I can do some like YouTube videos, but I'm not like an expert like a lot of these guys do. Muhammad Uddin, Assalamu alaikum. Missed most of this. Gutted is the highlights of my week. Inshallah, we'll catch up next week. Muhammad Uddin, don't worry, bro. Next time. Oh yeah, by the way, next week, Ramadan starting, isn't it? So it won't be at the same time. So if we do have it, I haven't even decided what time we're gonna have it. But you guys tell me in the week when you guys think would be appropriate. I'll choose a time. Because Ramadan starting, so I won't be able to do this time. This time, inshallah, I'll be doing Tarawees. So you guys think about it. Let me know in the comments during the week, and inshallah I'll decide. Is there a difference of opinion on insurance other than car insurance, like life insurance, travel insurance, when they aren't required by law? I know some scholars do allow like life insurance on certain situations, but majority of scholars do not allow it. Yeah, I don't know of a solid difference of opinion. Caps Lock, Hafidakumullah, you have a very sharp memory. Wouldn't expect anything else from a scholar, mashallah. Very interesting on tafsir. You're welcome, Caps Lock. Mashallah. I still remember you, bro. I remember when you came down. Yeah, mashallah, may Allah keep you safe. Hussein, wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. أنا طالب علم درسنا لغة العربية سنة واحدة وأريد أن أمارس معك المحادثة كما فعلت أظن قبل يومين، فكيف يمكنني الانضمام في هذا؟ عفوا دراسة نعم، أنا أصلا أنا قد ذكرت هذا من قبل بأني قد جربت هذا الأمر مع بعض الطلبة الذين أدرسهم في معهد في منطقتي. فهذا الدرس لم يكن مفتوحا لكل من أراد أن يدخل فيه، فلأجل هذا بعض الناس، أخ عرفات أيضا طلب مني أيضا أن يضم، ولكن لا أستطيع أن أضم أي أحد في هذه يعني الجماعة أو هذه الحلقة، لأن هذه الحلقة لم يكن المقصود منها لم يكن على الدوام. يعني كان قصدي من هذا أن أجرب يعني تمرين المحادثة عبر الإنترنت. يعني هذا فقط كان نيتي في بداية الأمر، ولكن عندما كنت أرى فيه يعني فائدة لطلبة، ومن حيث أنهم كانوا يرغبون في المحادثة وكانوا بأنفسهم يعني قالوا لي بينوا لي أنهم قد يعني أحسوا بالفائدة من هذا، فلأجل هذا يعني وضعته على يعني رفعته على برنامج لي. وإلا يعني إذا كان هناك بعض الطلبة، نعم هذا يعني فقط يعني كلام افتراضي، نعم يعني ليس هناك أي أمر حتميا، لكن إذا كان هناك طلبة على مستوى واحد وأرادوا أن يعني يبدأوا شيء مثل هذا، فممكن يعني في المستقبل ممكن يعني هذا الشيء يعني نشرع يعني، لكن هناك إمكان يعني وإن كان بعيد لكن هناك إمكان موجود. والأصل أن هذا الشيء يعني أنا لي ولع ومحبة باللغة العربية كما تعرفون من الفيديوهات التي أرفعها، ولكن يعني ليس لدي وقت يسع هذا. يعني لا أستطيع أن أحد يعني تعيين وقت والمواظبة عليه، هذا شيء مشكل لي. فإذا كان هناك رغبة وإذا كان هناك أناس طلبة ما شاء الله مجيدين ومجتهدين، فهيا إن شاء الله ممكن نبدأ. For those who didn't understand that, أهلا وسهلا مرحبا. Okay, SJ, have you read a translation of the Quran called the Clear Quran? I've heard of it, no, but I haven't read it. I've come across the name. I haven't read it. What is it good? What do you think? Muhammaduddin, speaking about detailed philosophical questions without understanding underlying issues beforehand will lead to problems, especially in relation to questions about Allah. Definitely, totally, and that's why I totally disagree with this like leap. I call it the leap staircase, where I think there are some speakers out there who maybe they're doing intentionally, maybe it's unintentionally. They discuss topics because they're nuanced. Like no, sorry, not nuanced. They're very novel. And whenever people are introduced to something novel, they never come across it before, it's like, whoa, everyone's like, it kind of like gives you that upper hand over other people in conversations when you can discuss like very like nuanced things. And personally, I think this is something which is a sickness, an illness. I personally feel as though this is something which is an illness inside of people. People should study ilm tadrijan, like bit by bit, and then reach a certain level. Otherwise, it can become very intoxicating for people. May Allah save us. Your opinion on Futuh Sham by Imam Waqidi. So, Futuh Sham, yeah. This Imam Waqidi basically, two things about him. So, in Futuh Sham, he is considered to be a historian. So, as a historian, his book has reports, and not all the reports are validated reports. That's the problem. And secondly, there's also lots of scholarly discussions about whether the content of this book is really attributed to him. So this is where you have a problem with this book. Book review, please. Oh yeah, mashallah. Rijwan Rahman, I broke a promise, so what can I do? So if you broke a promise, you just ask Allah for forgiveness. FIFA freebies, is the hadith in Tirmizi about Ibn Mas'ud doing Raf al-Yadayn only once authentic? So yeah, so this hadith in Tirmidhi is mentioned by Ibn Mas'ud. Scholars have discussed this hadith. Imam Tirmidhi considers the hadith to actually be a weak hadith. However, that doesn't really matter because Imam Tirmidhi himself says this was the practice of a lot of people. So, in other words, in the scholarly sort of like hadith sort of circles, when Imam Tirmidhi says this was a practice of the scholars, that or itself authenticates the practice of Abdullah Mas'ud, even though it doesn't authenticate the hadith. It authenticates the practice. Now, I'm not saying the hadith is wrong. There are many other chains for this hadith which have been proven. But that's the argument that's used over there. Ma'arif al-Sunan actually discusses this particular hadith in a lot of detail. Asad Zia, I meant from tajdeed nikah, the woman who is already in nikah but marriage get fasid due to some khufiyah words, etc. still need to pay mahar. So tajdeed nikah, I don't understand what you mean by tajdeed, except for one thing. Tajdeed nikah simply means you remarry the woman. Yeah, there's no other meaning of tajdeed nikah unless they just want to put a show on, and every year the husband and wife want to reenact their whole marriage thing, and she comes crying from her house, and he comes and hugs her, and they go to the imam and they pay the imam and they have this big wedding. And I don't. Besides that, I don't understand what tajdeed means. In the books of fiqh, tajdeed nikah means one thing. Riyaz, what is if someone leaves Taraweeh to make up qada, taking the Shafi's opinion where sunnahs aren't allowed if one has qada? Will they be sinful? What are your thoughts? Possibly, yeah, possibly. If a person was to do that in these kind of situations, there may be scope for that. If their intention is true, yeah. Sufyan, 41 live viewers, at least 41 likes. Yes, guys, Sufyan's the man. Yeah, so mashallah, hit the likes, guys. Likes it. Yeah. Likes karo bhai. Likes. And in Arabic they say Liaquat. 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 Subhanallah. Even my name, Allahu Akbar, my name, Liaquat, Liaquat. My name is social media, way. Okay, so Saturday 5 or 6 p.m. would be a good time for Ramadan live streams, afternoons. Okay, yeah, 5. Okay, I'll make a note of that. Anybody else? Khadija, can't recommend a time. American, hope it ends up being daytime for us when you do it. Oh yeah, Americans. Yes, Americans. Anybody American here? Put your name there. Is it true that Abdullah ibn Mubarak used to dislike Abu Hanifa? So there's reports of Imam like sort of like harsh words reported from Abdullah ibn Mubarak regarding Abu Hanifa, but there's also good words about him as well. So this seems to have been like a kind of like you can say like that sometimes we tend to think that if you're the student of a teacher, you can never say anything against him. This wasn't true, right? You have amongst the Sahaba even them criticizing one another. So you can understand students criticizing their teachers, or or even like contemporaries criticizing one another. That's totally fine. Yeah. So I think people think that Abdullah Mubarak was a Hanafi. He wasn't a Hanafi. He, on many opinions, he agreed with the Hanafis, right? And he praised Imam Abu Hanifa in many ways. Likewise, Waqi ibn Jarrah has criticized the Hanafis a lot. And likewise, he's even stood up for the Hanafis and said Abu Hanifa would never lie. Yeah, so. Okay, lots of true Sufyan Bhai. Muhammad A, Assalamu alaikum from New Zealand. Allah, Muhammad A, New Zealand. Yeah, New Zealand, you guys are probably like, in Sunday are you? Allah, time travel. New Zealand are in Sunday. This lesson is basically time travel here, guys. As Khan, تلك حدود الله. That's what I think of when people ask stupid questions outside the realm of the human aql. Like, are these questions going to increase your faith or ibadah? This would be a good measure. Yeah, definitely. See, the question, the thing about this kind of using the aql is not all the fingers of the hand are the same. Yeah. So in other words, you are going to get some people who are more aql inclined, are more sort of, they want to try to rationalize everything, and they might not be. It might not be in a sinister way. It might really be an honest, genuine sort of approach. They really want to understand the deen and protect the deen, and they're using their aql to understand it. And that's why I personally believe about many of the early scholars, the Mu'tazila, who try to do this. And same with the Khawarij as well. And there might be some people who are traditionalists and who don't kind of use the aql in any way. They just focus on the text, and they may be very sincere as well. But likewise, you might have sinister elements in both camps. Hamza, is any advice to students who keep switching madrasas? Sometimes it gets difficult to stay in one madrasa when you find a better option. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, my teacher used to always say this, Sheikh Fadl Muhammad. He used to say that stick to one place, because I remember when I was in the 4th year. So basically, I was sitting in class and I said, and I think to myself, why did I say this for? So I was studying in Benuritan. I was in the 4th year, and he was teaching us Sharh al-Wiqaya, right? So I said to him, Ustad, يعني ما رأيك في دراسة في it was Arabic lesson, like Arabic section. So he used to teach in Arabic. What's your opinion regarding studying in Akor Khatak, which is a famous madrasa, it's a massive madrasa in Peshawar? What's your opinion there? I heard that there's some like great scholars there. He got angry, yeah, and that was the first time he got angry at me. He never gets angry at me at all. Like, never ever has he ever got angry at me. And he says, what's wrong with you people? He goes, you guys come here, you guys have only studied a few years and you think you know where to go, right? And that's where I think a lot of students make mistakes, when they don't have that kind of like, you know what, just do tawakkul. Yeah, just study one place. And trust me, that was the best advice I ever took. Study in one place and Allah later on will open up the ways for you. Yeah, it's just, you got to have a bit of tawakkul. Okay, Bima Ayan sitting here watching your video. Can you tell him to go to bed? Uncle Liaquat said to go to bed. Yes. Ayan, bro, listen. Yeah, you got to go to sleep. Okay, look what time it is. Yeah, if you go to sleep, you know what's going to happen to you? Allah is going to put barakah in your sleep, and inshallah in the morning you're going to get up waking up fresh, and you'll probably be able to get up for Fajr. Yeah, try to get up for Fajr if you can. If you can't, doesn't matter, inshallah, do your qada later on, but go to sleep. Yeah, if you're not going to listen to your dad, listen to me. How will you read from the Mus'haf in Tarawih without turning pages? Look, so I told you, don't take my opinion. So basically it's me like this. Yeah, I'm going to have the Mus'haf in front of me, like an iPad, and then it'll just have the page there, right? And then I'll just read in one rakat one page, other rakat another page, and then ruku. Yeah, so I'm going to choose the Mus'haf that has, perfect ayats, the 15-line one. Perfect ayats, those ones. Someone did Shari Nikah with a girl a long time ago, but he likes to renew Tajdeed Nikah before joining without any talaq. Will it be okay to reduce if girl agreed? See, if he's done Nikah before, whatever was agreed in that mahar over there is the mahar, right? And then if he just wants to just renew his Nikah, like just to show other people, then there's no mahar needed. The original mahar was obligated from the original Nikah. Okay, may the angels give you the most Liaquat. Ameen. Ameen. Yes, I agree. 5 to 6 p.m. Saturday is a good time, inshallah. Rijal. Can you expound on author of Fiqh al-Akbar? Some people say Imam Abu Hanifa, some say others. Yeah, next time, inshallah. I think this is a very longer question. But yeah, it's a good question, that is. If you want to read more about this, then online, I think, Maulana Muntasir Zaman in the US as well. I think he's written on this on his blog, his webpage. You can find it. I think he's written on this issue. And also Sheikh Bilal Ansari has also written on this as well on his the Ilm Gateway on there. Half of knowledge is asking good questions. Discussion reminds me of this quote. Yeah, alhamdulillah, definitely. Mufti Mangera has discussed this point in detail in his translation of the book. Yeah, him as well, definitely. Apparently the language used in the Fiqh al-Akbar didn't exist in Abu Hanifa's time, so it was probably written later. Zara, could you explain the answer to the question, does dua change destiny? If so, should... so when it says dua will change destiny, again, this is a long question, right? Answer, because I've got to talk about several, like this question, like let's put it on step number 6. So before I explain this question, I need to explain 5 steps before it. Does that make sense? So next time, inshallah, if you remind me. Sheikh R7, how does one master Arabic vocabulary and also tarkeeb? Do people just develop proficiency from experience or reading many books? So it's experience. Yeah, experience. And then like those gaps they have in their experience, they fill it in with the books. Vlogger Nayab in Europe, best regards. Ahlan wa sahlan, Vlogger Nayab in Europe. Samir Ahmed, dear sir, if I intend studying Arabic with special focus on root words, which higher education degree would you recommend? I'm from UK. So I would suggest, I don't know if you studied, but at the bottom, Quranic Arabic 17 lessons is a course that I've designed. In 17 lessons from scratch, you will learn Arabic, and then after that, you can take other courses. Yeah, so this is the course that's designed for this purpose. As most Islamic scholars suggested, the renew nikah after some while, because sometimes the some said kufriya words due to nikah gets fasid, but maybe he does not know. Yeah, maybe. I know Ibn Abidin does mention this, but wallahu alam. Yeah, maybe. I don't know everything, by. Yeah, maybe I don't know. Hamza, I'm actually a victim of my question and a kind of a tough situation. Yeah. Abdullah, assalamu alayka, kayfa anta akhi, ana bi khair, mashallah. Okay, Sheikh, do you know Shahid Kapoor? No, I don't know Shahid Kapoor, but I know he's an actor, film actor. Sheikh, it's so good that you are so long question answers. Sheikh, did you pray Isha? No, I haven't prayed Isha yet. I'm going to pray inshallah. If you start from Surah Baqarah, you won't get through many surahs. Yeah, so I'll do as much as I can, isn't it? I'll do as much as I can, inshallah. Okay, so I'm just going to do a review of a book, and then finally I'm going to finish, guys, because it's almost 3 hours, and my back is hurting as well. Ya Allah. Okay, so which book shall I... Alright, I'm going to show you this book. Ya Allah. So this book is called Tafsir Ibn Mas'ud. So this has been compiled by a Sheikh Muhammad Ahmad Isawi, right? So I've got this, and I've got 2 copies actually. Yeah, I've got another copy as well. It's a more dense copy. But this is like compiled from various different tafsirs of Ibn Mas'ud's opinions regarding certain verses throughout the Quran. Yeah, so this was given to me by Sheikh Farooq from Karachi. Sheikh Farooq from Karachi. He is very well known scholar in Mecca, but he's from Karachi, from near Tariq Road, and he came to visit my teacher, and he gave us this. Yeah, he gave us this. And then next time he came, he also gave me another one, the updated version. It's a more condensed one. The paper quality is quite good as well. So this is a very good, like if someone wants to kind of understand Tafsir Ma'thur and wants to look at the opinions of Sahaba, so this is like a very good way of introducing yourself to this, right? In the Hashia, it's got lots of footnotes as well. It's not the entire Quran. It's just selected like sections. But it's kind of like good to see how Abdullah ibn Mas'ud's approach was to Tafsir. So it wouldn't be for everyone. It's only for people who are serious about Tafsir studies, right? Because Ibn Mas'ud is known for his like approaching Quran, just like Abdullah ibn Abbas is. So he was also known for that. So my tea's gonna be cold as well. Okay, so Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair for all the answers. May Allah reward you. Ameen. Jazakallah bless you. It was nice chat with you, and nice chat with you as well. What do you think of Qalandar Tabrizi? I think Qalandar is a funny guy. Yeah, I think he's a funny guy. He just says certain things which are a bit, I think, inappropriate. But شيخ أعتذر لكثرة سؤال. أنا أصلا أتكلم اللغة الإنجليزية ودرست في المعهد اسمه القلم انستيتيوت ليستر. مدرسي يرفع فيديوهات كما تفعل. أريد منك أن تنظر إلى قناتي. نعم، يعني أستاذك اسمه الشيخ هاشم. نعم، الشيخ هاشم أنا لقيت معه ما شاء الله، رجل ممتاز يعني، بارك الله في علمه. Big Mo, Sheikh, please don't finish, go on and on, bro. Some of us have, have got sleep to go to. What do you call a bear with no ear? A bear with no ear. B. Oh, a bee with no ear. Oh, that's a good one. That is excellent one. That is. Yeah, Ayan, if you're watching, this is a joke for you, bro. Yeah. What's a bear with no ear? A bee. That's a top one. That's like proper deep. Okay, Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. Okay, guys, thank you very much. If you haven't hit the like button, make sure you hit the like button for this video. And tomorrow, inshallah, there's gonna be a reading session. I think the reading session is gonna be the last one until after Ramadan. I'm gonna see. I'll decide depending on what you guys say, or I'll mention it tomorrow as well. And then in Ramadan, inshallah, I'm gonna have a Surah Yasin. I'm gonna do a whole Surah Yasin course, inshallah. I'm gonna go through Surah Yasin, inshallah. And I did it in the past before, but I didn't cover all of it. I'm gonna do it again from beginning to end, inshallah. Hopefully cover the entire thing, and inshallah I'll. Okay, so Jazakallah khair, guys. Ahmed Kapadia, there's a man and a woman. The woman is haram for him in Fajr because she becomes halal for him in Ishraq. I don't understand. Okay. Okay. Jazakallah khair, guys. Thank you very much. Take care, inshallah. Remember me in your du'as. And also, afterwards, in the comments of this video, put in the comments of the video of what you guys think the time should be for Ramadan, if we do have question and answers. Yeah, what time. And in the Ramadan one, it's only going to be for like 1 hour. I won't have like a long thing because I'm going to be tired, you guys are going to be tired, and so it's only going to be very short. It's going to restrict to 1 hour, and in there I am going to only choose questions, okay? So please don't get upset if your questions are answered. I will have to only choose questions, and I'm going to only look for those questions that I think that people are trying to search for. So those questions that are just there just to like pass time, I won't be answering those ones, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this, and we will take a courtesy of my 8-year-old. MashaAllah, MashaAllah, Allah barakan ya 8-year-old. And take it, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And Sufyan, again, thank you very much, Sufyan. And Bima, thank you very much for your generous donation. And Hassan, Jazakallah khair for your generous donation. May Allah bless all of you guys. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.